Christian Fernandez, and I come from Mexico just to get Burning Crusade.
My name is Jacob, and I came here to get a piece of the collector's edition of Burning Crusade, and we came from Tijuana, Mexico.
Wendy Breezy here on the eve of a truly historic occasion. Tonight at midnight, millions of die-hard World of Warcraft fans across the globe will be the first to get their hands on the long-awaited expansion, World of Warcraft, the Burning Crusade. I've been porting near and far to bring you the most up-to-date coverage of this unforgettable event. If you could only play one game for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Checkers.
I was kind of hoping you would say this game, but all right, moving on.
World of Warcraft! My dog loves World of Warcraft. Whenever we play it, she likes to roll up underneath the desk and fall asleep while we're playing.
Well, I declare!
Oh! Kill them! How could you kill them? How?
Typically, I don't like gnomes.
Level 60 priest on Frostwolf. I'm here because I'm such a devoted fan.
Oh my gosh, it looks like you've been here forever! When did you get here?
6 a.m.
So do you play Horde or Alliance?
Horde! Horde!
Horde! Hey, hard for the win! Horde!
For the Horde! For the Horde! Alliance.
Horde! Come on, man.
Ganker or Genki?
Oh, I gank noobs all day, every day. Everyone in line is a noob, and I gank all of them.
Well, I hope you have lots of fun. I don't think many other people will.
Ginker. Definitely.
If they were online, she'd see where they were, and then she'd go just gank them forever.
Because they killed me! No, they killed me first!
I have a girl in RL, everyone. I swear. She's not here, but she's real.
Though tensions have risen between the Alliance and the Horde, the true enemy of the world lies unseen. Beyond the dark portal lies a universe of unending conflict, where the shattered realm of Outland has become the battlefield for a dark and murderous crusade. The Burning Legion has returned to claim vengeance, with a host of new terrifying warriors, such as the Wrathguard, Fell Reavers, the Shivan, and Warp Stalkers. While Outland's native denizens, the Ethereals, Nether Dragons, Naru, and the Grond rally countless others to war. Sparked by these events, abandoned sanctuaries on Azeroth now pulse with new life. Karazhan, the darkened tower of Medivh, bristles with arcane energy and the horrors unleashed by its former master. Its cursed halls now teem with the restless shades of the past. Yet, within the fabled caverns of time, the past has come full circle. Despite the efforts of the Bronze Dragonflight, windows into Azeroth's history have opened wide, allowing adventurers to experience the past firsthand. Journey through Hillsbrad and Durnhold Keep when the young orc thrall first set out to discover his epic destiny. Venture through the Black Morass, where the fallen guardian Medivh first opened the Dark Portal and ushered in an age of chaos upon the world. Witness the majesty of the World Tree Nordrassil as 3 heroic armies join forces to defend it from the insidious Archimonde and put a final end to the Burning Legion's invasion of Azeroth. In the present, a proud, ancient race has embraced a new beginning. Quel'Thalas has been reborn. The High Elves, now known as Blood Elves, lost the source of their eternal power when their kingdom was ravaged by the undead scourge. Desperate to replenish their energies, they now siphon dark magics from beyond the world. Flush with their newfound strength, the Blood Elves have reclaimed their beloved Eversong Forest. Based within their capital of Silvermoon City, they continue their reckless quest to claim new sources of arcane power. Once staunch allies of the Alliance, the Blood Elves turned away from their former comrades in arms. Their obsession to gain power at any cost has set them on a collision course with the Horde, and a destiny they could not have foreseen. The call to arms has been sounded, as champions from both the Alliance and the Horde charge boldly into the realms beyond. The Burning Crusade rages on, and the time for heroes is now.
Alright, mic check, 1, 2, 3. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the stream. My name is Cargos, and you are at the Dark Portal. You are here at the Dark Portal, Episode 2. I am hoping, my fingers are crossed, that everything is stable and you can hear me okay and the music isn't too overpowering. You know how we do over here at Cargos Gaming. I'm very excited for this episode, and I'm joined today by my fellow co-host on the show, my man Crix Gaming. How are you, brother?
I'm doing great, brother. How you doing, man? My picture is extremely small. It's like zoomed in.
That's okay. We get a better better shot at your money maker right there. And we're joined also by a very special guest. He was a Guildian Invictus on on Skyrim, right there on launch. He was right there. Were you there for the day 9 rag we did, Swifty?
You know, I think I was a little too slow on the leveling. I think I was there for the next week.
Yeah, well, either way, man, you were there for the Invictus ride on Skyrim, and it was nice playing with you. And he's got a very sharp mind when it comes to World of Warcraft. Very good player. He participated in a lot of the duel tournaments that I did, and was just raiding actively, pink parsing all the way. So it's really good to have you here, Swifty. I'll let them just. Why don't you give a little introduction about yourself, Swifty, and your history with playing TBC before we get into the agenda today.
Yeah, for sure. So back in, the good old days, I played vanilla a little bit. I was still pretty young, but TBC was when I really went hard. Basically just spent all my time in arena on like a druid and a mage, raided on a priest sometimes when that got boring, but mostly just experience with arena. I did gladiator every season with a druid and seasons 2 through 4 with a mage.
Dude, that's very impressive considering our age back then, man. I mean, everybody, welcome to the chat, by the way, guys. People here in the Dark Portal. This is a podcast, but at the same time, we like to be interactive. So please participate in the chat. It's a two-way street, guys. How old was everybody when you played TBC back in the day? I myself, it came out in 2007, right? So it's probably 16, 17, something like that. You're probably even a few years younger, right, Shrift?
Yeah, I'm 28, so let's see. Would have been like 15, 16, something like that. 17.
Very cool. Well, welcome, guys. The Dark Portal Episode 2. I wouldn't want to be any other place in the world. Crix, little catch up with you, man. How have you been this past week? Any stuff you've been working on? How are you, brother?
I've been spamming videos. That's it,
yes. Man. What kind of videos, brother?
I'm in the middle of a thing, which is items in Garen Classic that you'll need for TBC. I'm doing one for each class. I'm on Prot Warrior right now, just to finish Priest and Shadow Priest.
I love it. What we got to show his YouTube channel here as well. He's calling it, what are you calling, secrets of, secrets of...
It ended up, well, when I made the Warlock one, there was quite a few pieces that you could use in TBC, and then it went from there to not being that at all. But now it's just kind of like a pre-bis list almost, you know what I mean?
Pre-bis list. But the whole genesis was you were trying to, and sometimes that may not be anything at all, but you're trying to prepare people, like, what items they can bring into the TBC from Classic, right? All to kind of prepare.
Exactly.
So that's going to be the name of the game here today, guys. We're going to be like doing give you some advice on how to prepare for TBC, which is always a fun thing to talk about. And then we're going to give you the quick, light, and polite 6-minute overview of each class, and we're going to do it together, chat. So what we're going to do, we're going to try it out. It's a new segment. Type something in the chat if you're alive. I really want to get some other people listening right here. What we're going to do is we're going to start a timer and set the timer for 6 minutes, and we're going to start that timer off, and then in that 6 minutes, all of us, the chat, everyone on the panel here, we're going to just spitfire everything we can think about that class, PVE, PVP, leveling, whatever comes to mind, and hopefully it's just a big knowledge dump that you can take away some juicy nuggets. But yeah, it should be a great show, Crix.
I'm with it. I'm excited, man.
All right.
Hopefully our audio sounds better, guys.
So far, no complaints in the chat, man. Fingers crossed, man. Fingers crossed. All right. We're going to move into the next scene. Hopefully it works, and it does. It's looking pretty sharp. There it is. The Dark Portal Episode 2. Can we get some hype in the chat if you're excited for TBC? Let's hear it.
And who's that lovely lady on the front there, Cargos?
That is Maeve. Hopefully I'm not butchering the name. Maeve Shadow Song, I believe. And she is a central lore figure in Warcraft. And is there in the Black Temple with you as you're engaging Illidan. Pretty badass, iconic-looking figure. And
she helps you kill Illidan. At the end of the last 30% or 20 or 30% of the fight is the last phase. And this person will go around and put traps down that you can kite Illidan onto, which stuns him and boosts his damage to 100% damage increase or some shit.
Gotcha. Also, guys, if you see down at the bottom right, at Dark Portal Show. I'm a small brain Twitter user here, but if you have questions for us, this is very much an interactive show. So please tweet at us. Last week we got a grand total of 0 tweets, but we did get a few follows. So we're making a little progress here, and please bear with us. This is early days with the Dark Portal. If anybody here watching GMA, GMA episode 1 was very different to how we are now. So hopefully we can get through it. But anyways, let us hop right into it.
Okay. Shout out to the Lakers, just saying.
Why is that? Why are we shouting out the Lakers?
Because they won the chip, baby, last night. Won that championship. First one in a while for Kobe, baby.
Yeah. Craig's big Lakers fan. Big Lakers fans. Okay.
Now pour some out, Crix.
You poured a little. What are you drinking? What are you drinking, Swifty?
Vodka.
Just a Blue Moon, basic deliciousness, you know.
Basic deliciousness. Last time I saw you, man, like I actually linked up with Swifty. You know, all of us. We went to BlizzCon last year. Took a big boy, you know, whip down there, drove it down there. They were playing Smash in the background. We were stopping at all the different, you know, pit stops from Northern California to Southern California. We went down to BlizzCon. We met up with Def Camp, Melderon, met up with Swifty, a lot of the guildies. We broke some bread. We drank some White Claws. In Swifty's case, you loved the White Claws. I remember that. Good times, man. But yeah, I myself just drinking some root beer. Anyway, so that we're intros out of the way, we're gonna get into how to prepare for the Burning Crusade. So I don't know, since you're a guest here, Swifty, let me get your take on this, brother. When do you think? What's your guess of when TBC would come out, and why?
When's my guess of TBC would come out? I mean, I'm not currently playing Classic, right? So you guys got AQ40, I know that. How long? Do you know when Nax is supposed to come out?
They said this Christmas, right? This holiday. Well, I don't know if they said this holidays, but they did confirm it's going to be out this. There's no hard date, right? You know, professional streamer, by the way. But anybody, if there is a hard date, definitely share something. But I'm pretty sure it's like 90%. It's gonna be coming out this holiday season.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think, you know, the TBC has been in demand for as long as Classic's been in demand, because once they acknowledged that Classic was a real possibility, or not just a possibility, but they were going to do it, everyone's like, wait, so if you're willing to do that, can we have, like, and this is my opinion here, but can we have the better version? And, you know, TBC is really loved. A lot of people consider it, right, like the best time in WoW, myself included. So I don't think they'll have Max out for too long, to answer your question. They probably don't want to rip people off that have been waiting for it, but I don't think they're going to want to wait too much longer. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, our stab at it last time is if Nax was out this Christmas, BlizzCon line is what they're calling it in February, March. They probably announce it then and there, and then best case scenario, you'd have a beta coming right off the back of that BlizzCon. Now that could not be a thing, but we'll have to see. And then Shadowlands is going to be out, and people are going to be playing Shadowlands, but probably that summer or fall we're going to get Burning Crusade is my guess. But all right, let's move into TBC.
Just get here fast, please.
Okay, well, I don't know, Crix, do you think you're going to be fully ready? I know you have big plans, big aspirations for TBC. Do you think you're going to be able to get all the work you want to get done in time?
Yes.
All right.
100%. Nothing's stopping me. I already stopped playing just so I can get the videos out.
Hell yeah, brother. Okay. TBC preparation, guys. What comes to mind? Go, Crix, start us off.
TP preparation, obviously max level, it goes without saying, right? Not just your max level, but all your ults at max level. I guess it would start with figuring out what you want to play, right? Figure out what you want to play, True. Get it to max level now.
Yep.
I think it boils down to figuring out what you want to play, your professions for each class, and how you want to take the game on. Are you going to min-max? You want leatherworking? You want all your engineering stuff? Because the professions are huge. And professions are one thing that you can do beforehand.
One thing I just thought of now, too, is that for some people, preparing for a TBC may not be... maybe preparing for TBC to them isn't going super try hard, but maybe they take some lessons from Classic and are like, you know what? In TBC, I'm going to take it a little bit slower. I'm going to go in the opposite direction and not try to, overly prepare. I'm not sure, but I think a lot of people are going to learn from Classic. What was successful for them, what they regretted. Sorry, Shifter, were you going to say something, bro?
Yeah, so I was going to say, if you do want to go super try hard, though, consider rolling, a Horde Paladin or an Alliance Shaman, because since you have to start at 1, whereas mostly everyone else is going to start at 60, having that super fast leveling speed and hitting 70 and bringing that to your raid, is going to be pretty huge for those that want to go hard.
Yeah,
for sure. So max level, here let's. I know it seems simple, 0.1 max level, right? It seems basic, but let's talk about this for a second. TBC, in my mind, seems like a very different game. The meta is very different. So, like, in Classic, the class you're playing, if you want to be very strong in the metagame and be sweaty and be a big pumper or be very successful in the arena or the level, whatever your ambitions are, what performs really well in a Classic environment may not perform well in a TBC environment. The meta is very different. So, let's say that you're playing a warrior right now. Let's say you're an Onslaught or some like really big pumper guild, and and you're crushing it, and you want to stay at the top of the DPS meters, do you stop playing your warrior that might have, you know, Thunder Fury and all this stuff, and maybe level up a hunter or warlock? You know, really dig deep and think about what class you want to play. Are you guys re-rolling at all?
I thought about re-rolling to Orc.
I definitely want to play Druid. I might level like a mage as well. Yeah. I mean, Druid, you know, if you play Druid all throughout Vanilla Classic, like, you've been waiting for this moment, you know? So, to jump now would be kind of strange.
Yeah, that's true. I guess what I would say, like, when in doubt, we have some months and months until the Burning Crusade is even announced, let alone here, right? So what I would say is, honestly, smell the roses in Classic. Play hardcore, really take your time, and just totally unsubscribe maybe from the full sweaty mindset, just because you have some time here to get all the characters up to 60, and just get yourself in a position where you have the optionality that once TBC is here, you're like, you know what, this class actually looks really fun, let me go in this direction. But give yourself more options, get more characters to 60, and maybe try to get them set up with some basic gear and stuff like that. So, you know, and here's the thing about TBC too, right? You know, you can gear up multiple characters at the same time, much easier than in Classic, because you can just like do your 10 games or 20 games in Arena, and then just let it sit there and get your Arena points each season. So, I mean each week, sorry.
Which is what people will do.
Yeah. Okay. Get the second point you have here, Crix, is get professions maxed, and if you're going jewel craft, if you're going jewel crafting, then stock up on all the JC mats you'll need to level it, along with other mats for oils, pots, flasks, etc. Give us your take on this, man.
Well, obviously, if you're going jewel crafting, you have to level it from 1 to 300, which is all before TBC, obviously. So you need to get all the stuff to be able to do that, and all the mats and oils, all the oils and pots and free action potions and flask of petrification, flask of supreme power, everything you guys still use in TBC. You know, because it's not going to be your super flask. The TBC flask for like warlocks or casters, for instance, is 10 spell power more, but that's only 10 spell power. You know, so if you're doing dungeons or heroics or farm content, don't blow money on the big ones and use the smaller ones if you want for 10 spell power. But all that stuff comes from Classic.
So there is, yeah, and remember we were on the Discord call with it was Juby the other day, right? He's Crix's raid leader, GM, I believe. He's playing a prop alley. He opens up his bag, right, guys? He goes to his bank and he opens up his bag. I was shocked. I was flabbergasted at how many Classic consumables he was using. And just off the top of the dome, he had swiftness pots, he had faps, he had the spell power flasks, he had dark runes, demonic runes, he had what else, Crix? There's got to be some other stuff. He had, I think he might have had.
This is a paladin use a lot of stuff because you need the safe side and you need the spell power side, so they're using a lot of stuff like that too. I personally don't know paladin enough to be able to speak on everything they use, but he knows the shit.
Yeah. There's stuff, especially, okay, so I actually worked on a JC guide. Anybody, or type something in the chat if you plan on going jewel crafting, because this might be useful for those of you listening right now. I did a JC guide, I haven't released it yet. I just had my own little PTR, leveled it up a bazillion times. There are a lot of mats right now that you can snipe on the cheap right now that I think that are going to be important to power leveling your jewel crafting. For example, a lot of the bars, right? Copper bars, silver bars. Silver takes you like 100 skill points, because you make a bunch of silver stuff all the way on that grind up at 300. So just buy the hell out of silver bars. Also, even those little gems, shadow gems, all that stuff, you're going to need that stuff to level up to 300. So I would say do your research now. Look at what mats are required for jewel crafting and start sniping those materials even right now. Also,
a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff. Sorry, go ahead.
It's a lot of stuff. No, that's it. Like what you said, copper bar, tiger's eye, bronze bar, shadow gems, all these stuff that usually would vendor if you're not using them. You know, citrine, solid, true silver bar, aquamarine, all these stuff you need a bunch of that you get all the time. I've vendored all this stuff 1.5 million times, you know.
Yep.
Essences of undeath, which you guys are getting at 60 anyway. Huge emeralds, blue sapphires.
You know, another thing that's interesting, and I didn't try this out. Let me get some feedback from you guys and also the chat. Is so at jewel crafting, there's a new profession ability. I don't know what you want to call it. You know how mining you have smelting, right? So JC has something called prospecting. So you can take stacks of ore and you prospect it, and it's like, the way I visualize it is like you're a gold miner, you know, or you know, in the gold rush, going out to California, and you have the little pan and you're sifting through.
Going out to California.
Sifting through all the debris, looking for gems, looking for gold nuggets. So then you're able to basically extract gems from these ore stacks. So is it advantageous to get a bunch of ore stacked up as well that you can prospect through? I don't know. I'm not sure. These are things you want to start thinking about.
Yeah, this kid's asked, what if you prep until summer nonstop and then they tell you fresh start? That's why it's going to depend. Basically, we don't know how. It's just going to depend on how Blizzard decides to move in the TBC. All of it is,
I would definitely be willing to bet that they'll let you transfer your character. Now, I don't know if that means you transfer and then you can't play Classic, or you can copy, or you have to make the decision. But like, I would bet a fair amount of money that they wouldn't just make everyone start fresh at level 1. I just don't see that.
Yeah, I don't think they will as well. I mean, even if you look at the poll they gave us, the most compelling options look like are A and B, like they were the longest answers. Then at the very bottom it said fresh, and it was almost like tacked on to the very back end. I would be shocked beyond belief if they had a fresh TBC server. And
yeah,
I might actually play on it if they made it, but I don't think they will. Okay,
I'm playing regardless.
Yeah. Okay, so what about... Okay, so Crix, can you tell us about a little bit about the profession meta, just light strokes, moving into TBC? What sticks out to you as, oh, this profession is amazing, this profession is garbage, is anything?
Yeah, I would say first off, right away, engineering. A lot of people are engineering. If you want a PvP, it's like you need to be engineering. And when you move into TBC, engineering, you can use like the goggles and you can use a Nyan vulnerability belt in Arena. Other than that, you can't use anything from Arena in there, right? So it kind of feels like a wasted profession for a lot of people. But then there are the diehard people from Classic will go in there using it for BGs and stuff. I just feel like, unless you're, I mean, if you're purely PvP, no PvE, then yeah, engineering is still going to be fine. But it's not going to have that effect that it had in Classic, and especially not in PvE. But PvP-wise, it's not going to have that effect. And everything, so with engineering, everything that you have in Classic right now, once above level, I think it's 63 or something like that, it has a very higher chance to fail. All the engineering stuff does.
Mm-hmm.
Why I don't see anybody with rocket boots. I've been playing for a year, and I've never seen anybody rocket boot, anybody helm, anybody nothing.
Now the epic goggles I think are pretty decent that engineers can make, but that's pretty much it. They're glory days.
Well, yeah, the engineering headpiece for each class is actually technically Priebus for certain ones. If you're not engineering, then a lot of people aren't engineering. But if you are engineering, that engineering head is usually like a lot for every class.
Yep.
Obviously, the casters like spell strike and stuff, but it's like extremely powerful if you're engineering that you want it. Because it always comes with a meta socket, which is huge early game. Because a lot of people don't have meta sockets early game, and it always comes with a blue socket afterwards, which you can put whatever your filler socket is.
I think how much gold you have moving into TBC will determine what your strategy would be as well, right? Like if you have absolute play money, right? I mean, you're talking Frostadamus money. If you have big boy stacks of gold like that, multi-box, all that, you can level up professions and drop them like nothing. And you can use some of the stuff that you get, some of those benefits, right? You can enchant your rings, drop it. You can get your the better gems, drop JC. You can go engineering. Thing is about engineering though, I don't know if you can drop engineering and continue to use the goggles. Probably not. So your pool of resources will determine how sweaty you want to go with it, right? But if it's not setting you back at all, you're like 2-3k on my main, all good, out the window, it's fine, just so I can get a few enchantments.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
I wish I knew. I don't know if you can use the engineering pieces and drop it. I know you can you can go enchanting, which is really nice in TBC because you can well, if you're a spellcaster, I don't know what the melee version of it is, but you can enchant your rings with 12 spell power each, and then you can drop enchanting and still keep the 12 spell power. And it's not that expensive to level that up. It's one of the cheaper ones,
That is true. Another thing I want to bring up on the profession note. Who here thinks that there's going to be a gold cap in TBC? Who thinks that Blizzard's going to implement the gold cap? What do you guys think? I'm going to drop a straw poll. What are your thoughts on it, Crix? Yeah.
I think they literally have to do a gold cap. And I'm not talking about a fucking 75k. It needs to be fucking 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. And even that is a lot. Because TBC, a lot of preparation, especially T4 previous for a lot of classes is crafting. I don't want to say every class because I haven't done the video for every class, but every class I've done so far has crafting, which are expensive, which won't be expensive if everybody in the world and their mom who came from Classic has 20,000 gold. That immediately takes all the fun about the race to 70 is everybody's racing to 70. There's people who want to get to 70 and go fuck people up in World PVP. As soon as you get 70, everybody's going to have Epic Flying Mount. Which already kills World PvP. So that those people who love World PvP are going to be super screwed with that because they're not going to be. Everyone's going to have a flying mount.
And could you repeat that note you said last time about why you think? Like, try to explain to people why you think. Like in your words last time, I think you said like if they had no gold cap, you would be. In your mind, you thought you would really scuff TBC and that you'd be cutting out a lot of the content. What did you mean by that?
Yeah, because the economy. I think the economy would be ruined. I think that a lot of TBC goes with gold. A lot of TBC bases on gold. All the BOEs that change, they're so expensive. BOEs are 10k, 15k. You know, Dark Moon trinkets that cost 10, 15, 20k. All these trinkets, everything's gonna be blown up. Everything's gonna be ruined because everyone's gonna have so much money. So it's either gonna I don't know the word, blow up the auction house, so everything's super expensive, and then the people who didn't play classic or didn't farm gold are going to be screwed. They're not going to be able to get their consumes and stuff, you know, because it's so expensive.
Isn't the best gear still, like, if you're hardcore PvPer, you're wearing the arena gear mixed with a few pieces of raiding gear. So I mean, I don't know. I personally, I don't think there will be a gold cap. If there is a cap, it'll be some like ridiculously high number that 99.9% of us don't actually have to worry about. Even if you're right in that it might, you know, mess up the economy, I just don't see it. A lot of people just aren't good at making money or don't want to spend the time doing it. So they'll still go into TBC without having a lot, even though knowing what we know now.
Well, yeah, and if you think about the crazy side is people are farming, someone can correct me, but you're farming gold. This is my output. You're farming gold in Classic for like 100, 150 gold an hour versus TBC where it's like 400 gold an hour, you know what I mean, as well, too. So I personally, they can tell me it's a 20k cap, I'm going to make sure I walk in with like 5k and call it quits. I'm not going to get to 20k. So
well, speaking of that, though, right, are we, the epic flying mount, I mean, huge purchase. If you don't want to save up a ridiculous amount of gold, you definitely have to have at least 5k ready, right? Because just like everyone,
epic flying,
yeah, I mean, everyone understands, you know, getting your epic mount helps you make money quicker, right? And the epic mount is 100%, the regular mount's 60, right? So it's 40%. Whereas the epic flying mount, I think it's like 280 versus
280, and then there's a couple 310s.
Yep. Right, the gladiator ones, right?
You said Gladiator and Ashes of Alar are 310s.
So my point, though, is that the difference between a regular flying mount at 100% and an epic at 280 or 310 is way
it's massive.
Yeah, so, you know, and it feels good. I mean, when you're flying through Outland, I know the flying mounts are controversial, but when you're flying that fast, it's kind of fun.
For sure. I mean, you make a great point, dude. The difference between the basic mount and the epic mount in Classic is 40% speed, right? The difference is 3x the speed, basically, in TBC. You're going from...
Well, at the same time, I'm on a few TBC servers, and I haven't got... I'm 20k plus, and I've never got a flying mount, because it isn't... I mean, you get summoned everywhere, or you fly, get on a flight path, and go. I feel like obviously, if you're herbing, I mean, I guess it changes. I'm just not a super...
Everywhere.
It's not game. It's not make
there,
or break for me. You know what I mean?
How do the summoners get there?
Fly on the flight path and get that ass to that summoning stone. Remember, summoning stones in TBC you can summon people to. I don't even think we mentioned that yet.
That's true. Here's why I don't think Blizzard will do a gold cap, and this might be a hot take. I don't know. Just let me know what you guys think. One, I just sort of think that the average gamer right now that are playing these legacy servers are a bit older or a bit more sophisticated. We're going to know how to finesse that. You're going to distribute gold across multiple characters, multiple accounts. You'll find a way to circumvent it. So it's almost like they're putting in effort, you know, to gold cap it, and they're going to get some backlash from it, and people are just going to be able to finesse the system anyway. The other thing is, you know, you can invest all of it into materials, right? So even if they say 5k gold cap, you can find things that are still going to be useful in TBC and just start investing your gold into that and holding on to it. And if you look at Classic, what happened with the Classic economy? I mean, like,
bots?
Well, the bots were there, but here's one thing that happened to me, right, Shrifty? I don't know. We were on the same server. So Classic started, and, you know, you get all these materials, and, you know, you're selling it on the auction house, trying to make gold. The people who really won in Classic, in my mind, who were, like, set for gold forever, are the people that just held on to the materials, right? They didn't invest. They just held on to the Lotus for, like, months and months and months. And they bought stuff, and they held on to items, and they just held it until it made so much sense for it to sell, and stuff really just 5x, 10x.
We knew what would go up, right? Like, we knew what phase would have what in demand. It was just, if you're patient and you want to wait, you can make more, or you can sell it now and get less. Like, you know, Righteous Orbs, mats for pots, all the things, right?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. They can make gold cap account-wide. Not that many will buy multiple accounts. Perhaps.
You know, I can't remember for the life of me, but I was watching something earlier about the gold cap, and Osmond Gold said something, and it was the most big brain idea he had, and I'm trying to find it now to find it, but it was actually, ironically, a really good idea that he had.
I mean, the problem with the account thing, right, is usually the richest people are rich because they have multiple accounts. So, like, the ones that would need the cap are, therefore, you know, going to get past it.
True. Yeah, that's true.
Dude, I don't know. I just feel like it's gonna. I feel like it would ruin things. Every caster's gonna have DMF trinket, which is something you usually don't get until T5 or 6 because it's so expensive.
And all that stuff's gonna
get just with that. That's huge, man.
The average player too, and Blizzard probably is caring about the average player, like someone who's just gonna play with one character, one account, and just try to have recreate the nostalgia. They may hit the auction house and see everything at such a high price that it's so far out of reach that it's like demoralizing. That's possible. In fact, that'll probably happen though, right? But the other thing is, if you're like a hunter, right? So I know about the hunter itemization at least, right? We've been talking about it, right, Griggs? If you have infinity gold, you can buy all the purples, man. Like, there's a lot of stuff that you can just skip a lot of the weapons. You can buy that purple gun. I forget, it's like called Don Santos hunting rifle or something like that, right?
Yep.
You can buy Don Santos.
That was my first BOE I ever. That's my first and only BOE the past like 9-10 months I've ever got.
Now I don't know if you learned that recipe, but if you remember in Classic, you still have to wait for like in the beginning. We were still waiting for certain people in the server to get each recipe, and then they charged huge charges for enchants or crafts or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're rich enough, you definitely like skip that first part, but I mean, it probably won't be long until all the best stuff comes from either arena raiding or raids anyway, right?
Yeah, a lot of the stuff in TBC costs money to start. For if you want to min-max, a lot of the min-maxing stuff, which you don't need to min-max. If you don't need min-max, you could wear T3 shit in there if you wanted to. But if you're trying to min-max, which, as we know, people are trying to go get anything that will give them a 2 spell power increase to Parson Classic, they're definitely going to be doing that TBC. And having a shit ton of gold is going to mess that up.
So our viewers, thank you so much for voting, everybody. Really appreciate it. If you want to vote, throw any last-minute votes, go for it right now. Guess what they said? Guess what they voted?
They said no.
They said yes.
Oh.
So 36 votes we got. Yes, won at a 64%.
I think we should have clarified
margin.
There already is a gold cap. I think we should have clarified if it was a smaller gold cap. But either way, we got the picture either way. But yeah, so we're not talking about what is the gold cap, 75K or something for Classic.
I thought it was like
we're talking about. I guess lowering the gold cap is what I want them to do.
I see.
You want to make it feel like a real cap for the.
Bro, I'm down for a fresh level 1 start.
Oh, me too, brother. Doesn't that just sound
on
so
a new
much
server?
better?
Look. Here's the deal. If you want to play TBC, transfer your 60 character over here. You can't bring any gold or money. Go.
I mean, I like the idea of them.
Or you can bring 1,000
fresh servers and servers where you can transfer your character. That'd be cool. I don't know if they will.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What or the same way, if you were to transfer servers in Classic, like say you transfer from Scarum to Insidious, that same rule that you can bring with gold. I don't know what it is, but you know how you can bring a certain amount of gold. Use that same rule in the TBC, whatever that is, like 1,000 gold and like 200 on your alts or whatever. I don't know what it is.
So put on your shareholder cap, guys. Put on your J. Allen Brack mask. Let's J. Allen Brack roleplay for a second here. What would J. Allen Brack say about like not wanting to have fresh TBC servers in addition to like the servers you would be able to transfer your characters in? So let's say that they roll in TBC and you're able to all the servers we're playing on right now, they turn into TBC servers, right? You'd probably have an opt-out for your Classic characters if you want to continue to play Classic. What would they say? What would the shareholder hat, J. Allen Brack hat, say against, like, what? Basically, why wouldn't they have a fresh TBC server or 2 or 3?
Because
I don't know who that is, but let me think about the question.
He's the dude
you think you do or you don't, that guy.
We met him at BlizzCon, right? Yeah, he's like the dude basically in charge of Classic. I mean, if they're real smart, and that's still an if, because, we saw with Classic release, there were some things that we were like, come on. If they're really smart, they'll leave a few servers, just a few, for people that want to be dedicated to vanilla only, and they'll keep them as vanilla only servers.
I agree.
They'll make a lot of servers where you can transfer your character over, because I think that'll be what most people will do. And then they'll make a few fresh TBC servers. The only reason they wouldn't do that is dumb. I can't think of a real reason why they wouldn't.
Right?
I think they're going to do whatever, when they did their survey, was the best pick. I think they're going to do whatever's not going to piss the community off the most, which is understandable. If they did that survey like they did, and it was 70% saying bring it to TBC, and the 30% like, nah, leave it at Classic, they're going to take that 70% because it's more subs that way. I know a lot of people from my Classic Guild alone who said they wouldn't play this game if they couldn't bring their gold over.
I heard that. But what
they're lying. They're still going to, and you know who you are if you're watching. But
do you remember what Juby said when we talked about TBC Fresh versus just moving in? What he said about like what the elite players are going to be doing? You said it in the call. He basically said, if Blizzard made fresh TBC servers, all the competitive guilds that are like kind of try hard, they're not going to carry their characters over. they're not going to play mainly on those characters that they've worked super hard in Classic. He feels that their mindset, they would be attracted more to Fresh, and they would drop their characters with Thunder Fury and all that, or at least maybe
they would want to dominate where like it started on a fair level, so no one could claim that they had like an extra shot. Like that makes sense.
Yeah. I don't see a downside other than if I'm Blizzard saying, look, that's making too many servers, we're making too many servers, it's not sustainable, or like, oh, it's going to fragment the community a little bit too much. Or they could,
what are you going to do on Classic? I know, yeah, okay, hardcore challenge, I get that, but for the hardcore players, what are you staying in Classic for? No one cares about Nax after week 2, so it's like, I don't see the appeal. I mean, I'm not a big Classic guy, maybe that's why. But
well,
I don't
they're
see
preserving
the
it for historical purposes at very least, right? Because in my mind, it's the best game of all time. So it's like, as long as our generation is still air is breathing and going through our lungs, we're going to have some desire to go back and play the original base game.
You can expect multiple Classic private servers to open right back up, fresh launch, as soon as this happens too, by the way. Which and if you're asking me, those diehard Classic people, I think they'll go back to the Classic servers, and if they don't want to play TBC. I don't even think they'll stay on the Blizzard Classic server.
Yeah. So I hope that they come out with a couple TBC freshes in addition, not like mutually exclusive, in addition to having the TBC servers like that these servers roll into. We'll have to see what happens though. So we talked a bit about JC. Anything else stick out on the profession front in rating? Like, can you prepare everything you need quick so that you can craft all the drums that you need at 70 and like have your leatherworking path to 70 super fast?
So you can have your leatherworking done from 1 to 300, not done, but the 3 to 350 or 375 is what you're gonna need. Actually, drums is, I want to say 365, and you need to be 350 to use them. So you can only even need to be 365, which is when it gets expensive. It's cheap to 350, then it's expensive as shit 350 plus. I mean, not super expensive, but you get to get the skins like super high cured fucking whatever leather it is, right? I've only done it once, and it's expensive, but everybody uses drums, and I think that people are still going to use drums because it's pretty big. It's 80 haste. 80 or 82 haste in the whole group, 24/7. Plus, you have the drums restoration that healers use, which is like 600 mana. I could be wrong on the number again, but I'm pretty sure it's 600 mana and HP.
So you leveled leatherworking a couple times probably because it's mandatory requirement in your raiding guild, right? How
the first thing Jimmy said to me.
If you were to level leatherworking by yourself, out in the open world TBC, leveling to 70, how hard is that process? Leveling it to 375.
If you're leveling it while you're leveling and you're skinning, it's not bad at all, because a lot of the stuff when you hit Nagrand, you can get a lot of your main skinning. I got out of Nagrand, and so and you have a lot of the quests in Nagrand, or they're called mastery quests, and it's this is why I like Nagrand's my favorite living zone, is because it's not a lot of collection quests, and you get Ring of Trials, which is dope, but it's a lot of kill quests. You get 3 mastery quests, kill 20 fucking cleft bulls, kill 20 birds, kill 20 of this, and then you return them, and you keep getting these kill quests, and all of them give you leather. So if you're skinning, I don't think it would be. I've never done it while leveling, but I don't think it would be that. You probably would have to buy some more at the end, the cured rugged whatever hide, cleft hoof hide or some shit like that.
Yeah, cleft hoof, yeah.
But I don't think it's going to be that. I don't think it's going to be too crazy.
So you didn't find it too bad? If you have skinning, it's not bad.
Yo, and to be honest, I got leatherworking like 6 months after a cycle started, and I think it cost like 2K. It's not that expensive. It's just that 2K came at 350 plus. But if you just get the 350, you can use drums, or 355, you can use drums and buy drums from the auction house, and they're not that bad. And by the way, when you make drums, they're expensive, but there's 50 charges on each drum. So it's not just you use one drum; it's 50 charges per drum.
And how bad would it be if you had to, let's say you didn't want to go skinning and you wanted to buy everything off of the auction house to get your leatherworking to where it needs to be? Is it super expensive on a fresh?
So I did that. I did that because I had tailoring, and I couldn't drop tailoring, so I had tailoring and leatherworking, and it was about 2 to 2.5K at 6 months through a cycle, which isn't bad. However, this is where it'd be tricky if there's no gold. If you can just everybody can come with a bunch of gold. I mean, everything's gonna be. I would assume, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. Everything's gonna be super expensive.
For sure.
Everybody has gold, right?
Super inflated.
So instead of like Deathstroke,
that seems like a lot to me. You're saying 2.5K just to level from 300 to 375?
Hey, to be honest, I know it sounds crazy, but 2K is not that much gold. Like you can farm up 1,000 gold in a day.
If everyone farms as much gold as you're worried about, then everything's just going to be inflated anyway, right? So
exactly, but not as inflated as if everybody can. If 80% of the population came with 10 to 20K plus gold, which is what I think would happen. And I don't really think 80%, but you can easily say over half the. Take the top 200 guilds on each every place. All of them will be coming banked up.
A lot of people have dropped off classic vanilla or. And they'll come back, and they might have a couple thousand here or there. I don't know. A lot of people might come back and try to save up the 5K for their epic mount, maybe a little extra on top. But once they spend that on the mount, they'll be pretty much fresh. Like
Exactly.
A lot of people will be, not super stacked, and the people that are gonna super stack and super prepare are gonna find a way. They'll still be the same. They'll be in the same spot.
I agree with you, and that's why I said if there was no cap, I would probably go 5, maybe 7, bro. And I wouldn't even go. That's all I care about.
Yeah,
you're gonna farm more gold faster in TBC as it is.
Yeah, true.
There's
a lot to unpack on the professions thing, but I think the general advice, and pretty much everyone knows this, you're just too lazy to do it. Have a plan for your professions and start logistically thinking about, okay, how am I going to level these professions up? If I'm going to go JC, how can I make that easier on myself? Because JC is expensive AF. It really is. Even 1 to 300 can be kind of
pays off though. Yeah.
Pricey.
Is there any? I don't remember there being a significant benefit to being a jewel crafter, in terms of you can just get it from someone else. I don't think there's anything that.
Jewel crafting, I believe, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm not, is the most profitable profession.
Okay, but
you make so much money once Mount Hydro comes out.
Mount
Hydro is the epic gems, and only they can cut them.
You can get stronger gems for yourself, and you also have trinkets. I don't know how good they are. They're like these little idle things.
Right.
But
the trinkets were okay, actually, if I remember. There were times, if I remember in my memory, where I was kind of jealous, but never enough to actually get jewel craft.
Wow.
You missed a drink. You missed a drinky.
Drinky with the 50. Thank you very much, Drinky, Mr. Crow. Appreciate you supporting the whole squad day in and day out, keeping roofs over our heads. Appreciate it, Drinky.
You got a new esports bar that opened up not too long ago, baby. I hope it's doing all right, man.
Hell yeah,
doing all right out there.
Appreciate you, brother. So another thing that I want to talk about on one, and I don't think any of us even have this all fleshed out, so hopefully the hive mind, all of you guys watching right now, we can come up with some good strategies with this. But not only should you be max level going into TBC, but there's a good chance that the quests in Classic will still grant some form of XP moving into TBC, right? What if you were just a new guy, like a Draenei or a Blood Elf, you're leveling a Paladin or a Shaman, and you're completing Skolo quest at 60 or something, you would get XP from that, right? So I believe that they did increase the XP you get for certain quests past a certain level. It's 30 or something, or 20. Navic told me the exact number at one point, but they give you an increased amount of XP for some of the quests. All I would say to you guys, and we'll leave it up to the hive mind to figure it out, is go to the database, find some of the quests that give you the most XP. You can see on Classic DB or Wowhead, whatever, how much XP a quest will give you, and then just cross your fingers and hope it's going to give you a decent amount as soon as the gates drop. Also, logistically plan for turning these quests in, right? Because if you have to go all around freaking Kalimdor and Eastern Kingdoms, you may be shooting yourself in the foot there as well, losing more time.
You really know more than I on Classic quests, but I assume it'd be EPL quests, man. Just a bunch of EPL quests that you would just have banked up.
Yeah, if you didn't already do them, I agree. They're all in one spot. You can just hearth out or whatever you got to do so you can get to Outland ASAP.
Yeah, set your Hearth to Stoner, go do your EPL, turn everything in Hearth, and run back. You're 5 minutes behind everybody.
Yeah, I think you would want the area where the most quests exist. Unless you're really min-maxing.
The thing is, how much experience can you get from it is what I'm wondering, because it's not going to help. It's not going to speed you up, because either way, Hellfire Peninsula is 8s. The benefit. That's another thing is when you have all your alts, you can enter Outlands at 58, but it's better to enter at 60, right? So if you have the time and TBC is not out, get to 60. Don't get to 58, because you can skip Hellfire Peninsula at 60 and go to Sanger Marsh, which is which is huge.
Yeah,
which you can see a lot of people doing, by the way. A lot of people will do that.
That'll be the big brain play.
Skipping the Zerg. I think if you have a fat stack of 20 and you have it planned out, especially if you're a mage or something, you can zip around to turn all these things in. My gut says it would be faster, not by a huge amount, but if you just quickly, all right, TBC's out, you zip around the world, turn in 20 level 60 tuned quests, you might be sitting at almost 61 or 60.5 or something like that.
That's what I was going to say. So you would know more. How much do you think 20 full quests would give you? You think you'd get a half a level out of it?
Yeah, probably. Because the thing is, the TBC quests give you way more experience. They just scaled all those numbers up. So, yes, they boosted some of the quest XP you get from the classic quests, but it's still probably not going to even compare. Turning in one of those high level 60 quests will probably maybe give you half the XP of completing a basic quest in the Outland.
Joe in the game just made a good point, which is the quest log cap goes up from 20 to 25 too.
Yeah, but I think you'd only be able to stock that 20, right? You would think.
Probably, yeah. You probably wouldn't be able to stock more than that.
So it doesn't hurt. Make your quest log as full as you can. Have a plan to turn them in. This is just something that'll make you feel really good and confident going into launch. Hey, I have a few aces up my sleeve. I have some stuff that I can do. Okay, we talked about professions for a minute. Stock up as much gold as allowed.
I mean, I think it's worth doing the 20 quests because I'm going to do it because I want to try. I'm trying to race to be one of the first people to hit 70. So, and that's going to give you 40, 50% of a level at least. And I'll tell you what, when I don't know if anybody remembers, but that outland leveling is really, really slow.
It really is.
Speed runners. I'm talking like the best people who level TBC wise, they were getting, 4 or 5 hours a level, 4 hours a level. You know what I mean? They've done it a million times. And me, even knowing my route, was still hitting like 4 or 5 hour levels.
So what was that? What was that TBC server they launched like recently, Crix, that had the 1x from 60 to 70? It was like 2x to 60.
Yeah, it's a branch off of Netherwing. The people from Netherwing made it. It's called Atlantis Karazhan, and it was 2 times experience until 60, and then they dropped it to 1 at 58. It's 2 times until 58, then it was 1 times.
Well, I remember.
And even that 2 times really felt like 2.5 because when you go in the TBC Blizzard, I think it was like, I can't find the numbers, but I think they upped the experience by like 45% or something.
Well, here's the thing, Launch. A lot of you, tactics included, you guys had plans of zipping up to 70 super fast, remember? And what happened in practice? It took forever, dude.
Forever. Way longer than I expected it to.
It took forever. People forgot
how
long it takes to go from 60 to 70 on 1x because most of these TBC servers are like 2x, 5x. I leveled on Endless with Navic, and it still took a while, but it didn't feel that bad
4X.
because it was like 4x, right?
Yeah.
It takes
That's
a
how bad in
hot
Outlands.
minute in a day.
Even in Outlands at 4x, I was like, bro, damn, this is kind of, instant gratification. I like leveling too, so it's not that bad, but I was like, this is kind of slow. And then I was zooming to 60, 58, and I hit 58, crossed that portal, man, and it was instant.
It's like when you turn in a quest in TBC, it gives you like 1.5% or something like that. It's really...
Ooh,
it's not too much.
That's huge. Nukem in chat says turning in ZG coins set at level 58 is the best idea to preserve experience.
Yep.
I am not a big Bang Classic guy. I quit Classic like mid BWO, so I did not know that.
The BJus or whatever the coins. Yeah. Somebody brought that up. I forgot who said it, but that's huge, man. Go ahead. I was gonna say here's like a potential feels bad man type thing. Like people were theory crafting the TBC leveling, and some of the mages and the people that have the capacity to AOE grind. We're thinking of just doing the 60 to 70 grind in ZG, which is bizarre, right? There's a small chance.
What?
That's the type of thing that would happen, though, come TBC. Like, every fresh server, I don't care what it is, if it's a private server, it's real, there's always some really bizarre way to level that's borderline almost like exploity or...
Unless they specifically patch the ZG experience.
They leveled 60 to 70 in ZG?
Yeah, because, when you're that high, like, the monsters don't...
Oh, I've never heard that before, but that makes sense because it's the classic thing.
You know those one-pull things?
I've only ran ZG one time, I have no idea.
Well, how do you guys feel about that, right? You see the kind of shenanigans these mages can pull off in ZG, right? They get literally like 100, 200 mobs. I guess it's infinity. They just have these crazy chain pulls. They pull the entire raid. They finesse it on the bridge, and they just blizzard it all down. Like, are you going to tell me for sure that you know that the XP per hour in the Outlands is going to be better than that if you're killing 100 level 60 elites that are giving 2x
I think it's going to be extreme. I can't wait for the beta so we can fucking test every version out because we will, but I think it's still going to be... I think, to be honest, I have high hopes that they're going to layer the fucking shit out of it and that we'll be able to level, not peacefully, but like, okay, there was 10 to 15k on the launch of that last server you just mentioned, right? I don't know how many if anybody even remembers Classic launch, how many there were in per server, per layer, but that was, the private server, it was 10 to 50k, one server, no layers. It was way more swamp than I saw when Classic launched.
Yeah.
It was way more than that. It was rough. So I think if Blizzard layers this excellently, it'll be fine.
Be fine. So people are saying there's an AOE cap. There is an AOE cap in TBC. Yep. So you're right on the money, and I wasn't thinking about that for a second. But here, to my understanding, this is how AOE cap works. And Crix, you actually have AOE spells, and you're actively playing, so you're gonna have a better understanding than me. But in TBC, you can only hit like a maximum of like 10 or 15 targets. I forgot the exact number before your AOE damage gets like massively reduced. So
pretty much,
like you'll be able to blizzard and slow all those things in ZG. You could still do that, and you'd have like the 100 mobs. But there's a very strong chance, like you guys were saying in the chat, that instead of like 100 a tick or whatever, it's doing like 10 a tick, and you're still slowing
for instance,
all those mobs.
Seed of Corruption is a new Warlock spell they get that is very, very good. It's arguably, besides like deep T5 arcane mages, I think Seed of Corruption is the best AoE spell in the game, and it does a lot of damage. It by itself does 2 to 3k, when it crits off of just one person. But there's a fight called Morgrim Tidewalker where he summons a shit ton of Murlocs, like 30, 20, or 30, whatever. Either way, it has the cap, and I'll see me crit on there with my seed, and it'll be like 1k crits, 1500 crits, so it spreads out. Which is another reason why, if you can remember this, is do not, in any kind of AoE situation when it's that many people, don't fucking blow your trinkets, don't dash your pot, don't do nothing, because it's not gonna do anything. You're just wasting at that point.
Well, here's
it's at a cap, and also it's not. I really hope I'm not wrong about this. I'm like 80% right. it's not every AoE ability. So like Consecration doesn't count. Like the Hellfire doesn't count. So the super like ground AoE one, I don't know how to
the stuff where it feels like the mobs
are
are walking into it. Like for some reason those don't have an AoE cap. Yep.
You know, Holy Nova, shit like that.
So I was just gonna say though, if it's not ZG, then it'll just be it'll be 5-mans in TBC.
Well, also I guess I just thought about this. Is Consecration, Holy Nova, or Holy Spells? Consecration is a Holy Spell, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Technically, it's holy damage. So maybe just the holy damage don't have the cap.
Flame Strike doesn't have a cap either though.
You heard it here.
Okay, yeah. So I'm pretty sure that Hellfire doesn't. You don't Hellfire much as a Warlock ever, but like.
I think all those ones where it does area of effect damage and it's like the spell. You just have to take it case by case. Some spells just don't have some kind of AoE cap to them. Here's the interesting thing,
which is why when people ask why mages are not. So someone mentioned too. Also, real quick, if you guys have a question, when you guys, I see a lot of them, but I can't see them all. If you tag me, I can see it glows and I can see all of them. But someone mentioned the AoE farming for mages, which is nice, but there's a reason that they can't go in like a big gold. I'm gonna also ask about gold farming, so it's just 2 birds, 1 stone. But a huge, arguably the best gold farming is Strat and Skolo. Okay, because you got dark runes which are fat, they're like 10 gold a piece right now. You know, you got to DE everything, which goes with TBC prep. Oh man, this is crazy. The DEing stuff that you get, like the side note on the bottom says Strat, Skolo, Solid Farms pre-launch due to all the dark runes, rune cloth, and enchanting mats. All the enchanting mats, the large prismatic shards, everything you get from there is expensive and used all the time. If you look at Crusader, 40 spell damage to weapon, shit like that is used in TBC until you get the better version of the patterns that drop. You know what I mean? But even like from Warlock's perspective, you have the 40 spell power on your weapon, and then you have Soul Frost, which is a new thing that you get at a Karazhan. So TBC only one, but it's 54 spell damage or 54 shadow damage. So even at TBC, it's only 14 spell damage lower. So all these mats are going to be super, super expensive still.
I feel like they made it so Crusader, I'm trying to remember exactly, they either made it so you couldn't do it on items above a certain level or didn't proc above a certain level, but I do remember them killing Crusader.
I could have actually not even been talking about Crusader and thinking about Mongoose. There's one of them, I don't know melee guys, so don't roast
Mongoose
me.
is the one at 70, right? That's like the new one, the one that's
okay, yeah, then I have no idea what that enchant is for melee, but I know that there's one that they use, and there's one that Warlocks and casters use until they can get the Soul Frost.
Well, you make a good point, Grix. Like, get all of your stuff squared away as far as enchants and stuff, because you actually could be using them for a good amount of time, right?
You will be, yes. And if you're already, everybody has time in the Classic, how many times do you run Scrollo and Strat? You can just keep everything you're doing right there. You can DE everything there. That's what I want to do. I'm thinking like 6 months before launch, I'm going to stop TBC and go back and prepare everywhere I can. That's a big one because it's a solid gold farm. Not that good now. The mats from disenchanting the shit from Skolo and Strat, same with the rune cloth, will be more, and dark runes will be more money on TBC servers than it is in Classic right now. That's how big they are. Rune cloth because people are going to be leveling tailoring, right? They're going to wait to do it until they get 70, I promise you, and they're going to spam level tailoring. Everything except for rune cloth is easy to get because it's all lower level stuff. You have to actually go to Strat and Skolo, and probably not going to find groups to do it, so rune cloth is an excellent farm just to wait for it.
It's good to know, the rune cloth farm. So Longbeards makes a really good comment, and this is exactly the type of stuff I could envision, and I can envision this happening come real TBC Classic. I know you guys could as well. Very similar to like, the 10-man dungeon cleave. Going into Classic WoW, like some of the strategies, like no one would have ever thought that was how people were going to level, right? The 10-man ZF, like just meat grinder, and then the jail cell in BRD. I never saw that on a private server, something like that. You sit in the jail cell and just spam those 6 mobs over and over and over again. But every single fresh server, there's some weird, like kind of almost exploity type way to level. And Longbeards in the chat made a really good point. I could see this being a type of thing that, okay, TBC's here and it's gone. Where he says, do you think they'll ban people that turn in 75k ZG coins to AFK from 60 to 70?
No.
Right?
No, that's going to be something where they're going to realize people are doing it and nerf it.
And nerf it, right?
100%.
But just like I remember when we were leveling in Classic, all of us were speed running, trying to get week 1 rag. Cargos was 5 levels above me, barely above me, right? And he's getting all that that big ZF raid farm experience. And then like right when I'm walking to ZF, they reset the server and patch it.
Yeah, they didn't.
To where I couldn't get the experience. So
the thing they banned for, if I remember, was they banned for people that were doing that like resetting the boss while you're in an instance thing, so you can like kill the.
Oh, so you get double loot. Yeah. They banned for that later. Yep.
Something, not the BRD quest. It was something on that vein, but for the most part, all of the like clever exploity, but not quite they just stopped it from working.
They just nerfed the BRD thing like a couple months ago, like way after all of that had happened, which is crazy. But who knows for sure if that'll even work, right? Turning in ZG coins from 60 to 70. But this is the type of the feedback that Blizzard really needs to take to heart, guys, because the gamers will find it. There's going to be something like that. If it's not the ZG coin turn in, some weird interaction out in Classic.
The private server guys.
Yeah,
they're already going to be up there speed running it and be like, holy shit, this dude gave us. As soon as they kill something, as soon as I kill something, I'm going to know, oh my god, this thing gave me fucking 3 times as much experience. The meta's going to change.
Blizzard needs to be mindful of that type of stuff. Like, be quick to react to as soon as they get some kind of detection of something that's kind of broken, shut it down fast, be very like on top of it, because then everybody's at max level and you've just cut out potentially like a month or two of potential content. Okay.
And I think they will too, because they've already broke that no changes thing. That's why Classic had those things for so long. I don't think they can do the no changes thing. They're going to have to come in here with... Blizzard can and has the ability to, and I hope they do, I'm having high hopes, to make this an amazing game. They really can.
Absolutely.
They really can. They know what they fucked up with Classic, and I think they can make it better.
So we'll get through this because we have a lot to go through with the other classes, but I just want to quickly end. TBC preparation. If you're going to dungeon cleave, we could sit here for the next hour and go back and forth on the pros and cons of dungeon cleaving. We'll save it for another episode or something like that. Some people believe that dungeon cleaving will be the way. I'm sort of in that boat just because it's really the best for reputation and getting up to honored and then whatever. But there are other people who are bigger brains than me. TBC big brains like Crix, and I think Juvie was in that. I'm not sure where Juvie was, but we talked to, I think it was Leox who was against dungeon cleaving or thought it wasn't going to be viable.
That's because we tried it.
You tried it.
So
yeah,
that new server that opened up, it was completely Blizz-like. They did pre-nerf. It was literally like you just stepped into TBC from Classic. They had 2.0 pre-nerf. Obviously, there's some private server changes, but nothing like bugs and stuff. But really, really close to Blizzard, and that was everybody tried it. We all tried that. We all went straight to the fucking ramparts and sat in there, and it was nothing. It was garbage.
It was garbage XP per hour.
It was. I mean, yeah, I could see sitting there for a level or two, maybe, just to skip Hellfire.
But you're saying Blizz-like, but the mobs are much harder, though, right? This is a private server with like the 2.5 XR difficulty, right? Or you're
saying... I think that's just raids and heroic stuff. I'm not sure if that counts for the mobs in the open world, so I can't speak on that. I'm not sure. But it was Blizz-like. Yeah, I guess I should have said that. It was Blizz-like besides the tuning, but this server didn't super tune shit like Endless did.
I think this is up in the air,
mechanics,
guys.
Which is dope.
Dungeon cleaving may or may not be the best XP per hour, and we're gonna have to wait for a beta in order to get a little bit more intel here to see how weak the mobs are. If it's a situation similar to Classic, we'll get to a beta. We'll walk into ramparts, the mobs get like freaking 3-shotted, and you're like, okay, this might be good. Just something to keep in mind. Questing, get the
we'll let you guys know in 6 months.
Just getting away from competition in the beginning, though, that alone, like, puts it up so many points.
Yeah, true. It's just going to pin on it. And that last one, just real quick, when I say try to get phase 5 and 6 gear to ease leveling process, I've realized, which is why I'm doing this video series, that a lot of classes can wear 2 or 3 things for previous, T4 previous. That is actually better than the previous items that you would get and actually farm. A lot of classes have to wear exalted shit that takes a long time to farm that you can skip because you have the phase 6 stuff. So just pay attention to what your class can use as off pieces, because a lot of stuff is crafted to off pieces, and see what you can pick up if you can at all. Anyways, you know what I mean. A lot of people won't be raiding though, so that's not possible for some. But even phase 5 gear can carry you through leveling.
Good to see Lincoln Craig in here. I believe that's Stay Safe's GM. Good to see him chilling out in the chat here. He was asking about did they talk about the 30 instance cap? So that'll be a consideration as well. I think we talked to Juvie about this, where in his mind you would be grinding instances, dungeon cleaving, up until the point that you would hit that instance cap,
man,
and then you would basically go out into the open world and do some questing or take a break or whatever it might be. So that'll.
I kind of hope they do that. Don't try to avoid us. Just quest. That's what I want to see people doing is questing. I didn't like. I mean, I did it in Classic, but I didn't like that we were dungeon cleaving. I hated it. It was miserable.
I thought
I had fun doing it, but it was.
I thought it was kind of an open and closed book. I was like, okay, dungeon cleaving seems like 100%. That's what everyone's going to be on the same page doing. It was refreshing to talk with Crix, to talk with Leox, and they were like, yeah, I'm not so sure. I don't think the XP per hour will be that good. And then what about Ali, Shaman, Horde, Pally's early release? We talked about this a little bit on the last episode. I think the consensus, we were all talking about it, is that Blizzard, if they're going to be consistent with how it was back in the day, they're going to refund your talent points and all that, but they didn't release Draenei and Blood Elves early before TBC.
Was there a pre-patch for TBC?
There was, but they didn't release Draenei and Blood Elf early. They didn't. They just gave you your talent points back and changed some of the functionality as far as like class mechanics and stuff like that.
They gave you the new talents, which was fun. But
well, and I guess the good thing about that is if you're already planning on re-rolling a Draenei or a Pal, or Blood Elf, there's going to be a lot of people there too, but obviously not as bad as Hellfire. But that's a benefit, because really you're doing what you're supposed to do. You're getting to 60, and if you get 60 at a good pace, you missed all of that horrible Outland shit.
Yeah. I will say, if I had to dungeon cleaving in TBC doesn't sound so bad, because there is a lot of fun dungeons, guys. There are so many. We talked about it the other day. There's like, what was it, 12 or 13 dungeons or something like that in total, and they're all just so sick. So
the difference about the TBC dungeons is not, if you look at the classic dungeons like SM, where it's just a shit ton of things that you can mob up and die, it's a little bit different because there's mechanics that are in these dungeons that weren't in classic, you know? So there's a reason why you can't pull 10 things, because 4 of them heal, and you guys will never kill these guys down, you know what I mean? And there's a lot of dungeons like that.
They were a lot more complex, a lot more
exactly.
Sure.
I would say, too, if anybody's concerned about the meta being really overly sweaty, overly intense, that's always going to be there to some capacity, but I would say there's things you can do this time around moving into TBC Classic that you can avoid some of that if that puts a bad taste in your mouth. I'm talking to you in particular because I know you feel this way. You can roll on a PvE server this time around. You might think, you know what, PvP server, I had this expectation, the reality wasn't quite there. I'm going to go PvE, maybe go RP. There's also the hardcore challenge. There's community game modes there as well. So there's other ways of doing it, building the car and getting involved on that level. So I don't think it's all doom and gloom.
Unless you have look, if the dungeon cleave is the meta, I'm doing it because I'm trying to get Karazhan done right away. I'm trying to be one of the first people to do it, but I don't want to. But you can. But unless you're trying to push like that, you really don't need to. You can do whatever you want.
I mean, you know, it's an RPG. You set your own goals.
Go,
right?
yeah, go to the next dig. Don't do it if you're not in a hurry. Like, say you have a guild, but you guys aren't doing Karazhan for 2 weeks or whatever. Don't fucking go with launch, bro. Wait till the next day when it's nice and calm. But I need to go to the bathroom really quick, guys. So
sounds good. I'll intro us to the next segment. So, guys, now we're on to the fun part. Type something in the chat if you're alive right now, because this is going to be a very interactive type of part of the stream. So what we're going to do is we're going to set a timer. And we've never done anything like this before, so expect some scuff. But we're going to set a timer for 6 minutes, and we're just going to spitfire everything that comes to mind, TBC related, with regard to a class. You can think of changes. Just think of juicy little morsels and nuggets that stand out to you that might be interesting to talk about, and we'll see what happens. This could be valuable to some people. So we'll get started with Warrior. We'll wait for Crix, but start racking your brain, thinking back to 2007, thinking about Burning Crusade, thinking about the talent trees. I'm gonna bring up the Warrior talents actually. You know what I'm gonna do?
I heard that warriors can charge across the battlefield, Cargos.
This is true.
Oh, okay. So in case you guys didn't know, you heard it.
Okay, so I have this. This is also another guide I'm working on at the moment. It's called Benefits of Each Spec in TBC. So this will be a guide that I'll be putting out soon. Still working on it, where it's going over the utility and some of the reasons why you would want to bring a certain class and spec to raid. All right, he is back.
Where we're at protection.
We're about to get started.
Here's
with.
The thing.
Yeah, sorry.
Huge brain Warlock. Not the biggest of brain, but I'm like 99% shit. I know Warlocks. Okay, I know Rogues a little bit. I know enough about classes by asking the big brain people, but
yeah,
Warrior was so hard for me, man. I know Prot Warrior a little bit, but I don't see
you guys on Druids and Mages,
okay.
Priests a little bit, but not Warriors. So
you want to start with Druid then? That's the top of the list, actually.
You want to start with the Druid?
Go alphabetical order, baby.
Okay, so
is that alphabetical?
Let me go to Druid.
Joe in the game, I see him in Twitch chat. He's a huge brain, Pally and Drew too. So please chime in, Joe. I see you out there, baby. He's actually helping me.
Right. So Druid.
All right, so I got to start the timer. We're get ready. So think about these things as we start the timer: solo leveling, dungeon cleave, gold making, 1v1, arena, battlegrounds, and just overall quality of life.
You want me to rant too, Cargos, or should I wait and let them? Or what's the deal?
No, the chat's gonna go at the same time as you, but you're gonna kick it off. Okay. I'll tell you when to begin. We have 6 minutes to get this done. All right,
real quick. You're a PvPer, right, Swifty?
Yeah, I rated on
6 minutes. Go.
Priest, and then okay. Yeah. All right, so Druids, right? Everything about vanilla. Everyone, them being memes, people only running one in your raid for Mark and Fairy Fire, gone, right? Druids are awesome in TBC. They're really awesome at Arena. And this is partly because Druids were always really good in PvP, but they're especially good in just the style that Arena is, right? So Arena, you've got a closed arena. You've got pillars, right, which provide line of sight, which is huge in Arena. Druids being able to shift out of slows, being able to move faster than everyone else consistently, is automatically makes them amazing for the setup of running around a pillar. Combine that with heals over time, meaning you can heal while you're moving around that pillar, and they're naturally set up to dominate arenas. On top of that, they got buffs in every spec, making them viable in raids, but if we're going to talk about a PvP specifically, so they got Cyclone, which is a CC, all of its own category. The enemy target would go up into a Cyclone. You couldn't hurt them. They couldn't hurt you. They're like essentially removed from the battle while they're cycloned. Which
is huge, by the way.
Which is huge, and it's on a totally separate diminishing return as roots.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Crix.
Say that I'm in an arena and I'm about to die and I have full hots on me, triple light bloom. I have all these hots on me. I get cycloned. I can't get healed, and you can keep me cycloned in a DR until all those hots come off, and I'm stuck at the 20% health, and I can never get back up, and they can finish me off.
Yeah, cyclone.
Like, I think it's one of the best CCs in the game.
It's fantastic, especially I mean, it's basically making them intangible, right? But you can still see them there, and it's really good. They have roots as well, so you can go back and forth. Their CC in game is which
are so simple but so annoying.
I mean, just the kit of a druid in arena, though, right? Being able to go and bear while you're taking hits, run around pillars and travel form while you're still healing over time. Starting off arena stealth is a huge advantage, even without improved stealth. Just the ability to be stealth is a big advantage over every class that can't. So they're fantastic with that. They also get Life Bloom, which is a new heal over time. And when it's dispelled, which was the biggest weakness to HOTS, right? When it's dispelled, it just does this massive heal. So it's very mana efficient. If you let it go, it's super mana efficient. If you dispel it, it's still good because it's still going to give people a quick heal. And it's going to use up the enemy, dispeller's mana and global cooldowns and shit like that. So you've got that going for you. Hot stack in raids, which means Swiftmen is legit. Tree of Life gives you bonuses to healing. You can only use heal over time. So druids make way better raid healers now. You can actually stack rejuves on people. You can stack life blooms. You can throw out little hots to kind of help. TBC raids have a lot of consistent outpouring of damage. So having like hots up all around your raid is really useful and really mana efficient healing. And it's like preemptive, right? You get hit, you have a hot on you. It's going to be quicker most of the time than spot healing. They could also be good tank healers, so way more versatile as far as rating goes. They get a regular res. That's nice. Fucking no more battle res.
I don't think they do.
No, they don't.
I don't think they do. Not in TBC. That's right. That's right.
Oh, I shot the gun. Sorry, lied on that. You still
which is stupid. Which is insanely stupid to me because resto Jews are really good, and when you start doing your like rep grind and stuff, you're trying to grab any healer you can. And when a resto Jew comes in there, and the typical build is like Pally, double Warlock, Mage. Insert whatever here. It sucks when it's a druid and you wipe and nobody can res.
Castlon makes a really good point in chat. He says Cyclone is basically a banish. It kind of is. Like you said, offensive, defensive uses. It basically introduces like a whole new major mechanic into the game when it comes to PvP control. It is so good. And the thing you can also, I'm pretty sure you can NS Cyclone too, right? So you can Nature Swiftness. So it's an instant Cyclone. You
cannot break Cyclone. That's the thing.
Yep.
That's what's crazy. Any other CC fear, fucking poly, anything. If I have a full row of dots and healing, those damage is going to do, and I'm getting healed. Cyclone just shuts everything up.
I think there's a chance too. I think there's a chance too. Correct me if I'm wrong, chat. Chime in if you think I'm wrong here. But I think there's a chance here too that druids have the best CC in the entire game in TBC. They can chain the most CC. You could argue a rogue might have more, but the thing about druid is they have bash, they have cyclone 3x to DR, they have roots, they have main. Oh, it's not main. What is it called, guys? What is it? The incapacitate thing? The incap. What is it called?
Barrel charge as well.
No, is it main? The thing that it's like a gouge for the druid. They have that as well.
Do they get a gouge in TBC?
Maim.
They
do. It's maim. You're right. It's maim.
Yeah, it's in maim. So they bring up the combo points. Combo points don't go away, so you just stack up combo points. Just think about everything you can do as druid. You open up with pounce, then into.
Oh wait, we have a minute and a half. I gotta mention some shit. I gotta mention some shit.
Keep going.
Okay, talking about arena comps for druids, fucking everything. Druid became the meta starting in season 2. Everyone realized druids were just the best healers basically in arena. So all those like Pally comps. Just replaced with Druid. You can run Druid fucking anything in 2s, basically. You can run Druid Warrior. You can run Druid Rogue if you want. Druid Warlock and Druid Hunter were some of the strongest. Druids basically worked with everything in 2s. In 3s, there was like Rogue Mage Priest was really huge, but if it wasn't a Priest, it was still probably a Druid. Shamans were
Roguelock Druid.
Yeah.
Shadow play instead of a Shaman, you run Druid. Speaking of, so, I'll let you finish first. We're going longer than 6 minutes because I have something.
Last other specs, Boomkins become viable in TBC. For starters, the buff to spell crit goes up a couple %, but more importantly than that, they just do way more damage, and they get improved Fairy Fire, which gives every melee and ranged in the entire raid 3% hit, which is huge. So it's absolutely worth having a Boomkin in your raid and not feeling like you're letting a memer in. Ferals, although I would argue they were viable and quite good in vanilla as tanks, they get much better and more viable in TBC. They're geared way better, the talents get better, and Blizzard clearly thought about them way more.
And as for Feral DPS, I have yet to see one in raid.
I'm going to do it.
Oh, you're going to Feral DPS?
What would you say about Boomkins too, Craig? You said something really big brain before.
I can't wait for our fucking Glad push, Swift. So real quick, I'm gonna speak on the other side, private server rating wise, and PvP. I have ran 2K plus with the Druid, Luck Druid, right, twice, and it's fucking nutty. Like, it's absolutely they're not unkillable, but they're even just 1v1, and I'm a Warlock where I can kill everybody pretty much. Even 1v1, they're annoying. They can just dispel. They can just get rid of everything. It's easily the most annoying class. That feral charge, a really good Wrestle Druid, is one of the hardest things to beat because it's that feral charge, that cyclone. They can keep getting you everything, man. And all they gotta do is get away. And then of course they can get out of combat in arena. They have Innervate, which gives all their mana back. And if you're not quick with spell stealing or getting rid of it, you're fucked. And when they get out and Innervate, they can get back into combat and stealth in arena, and you can't see them again. And then you got to go out trying to find the fucking stealth again. You know what I mean?
No, I fully agree with Rex. I'd say overall the absolute strongest twos team. That doesn't mean they couldn't be beat or there weren't hard matchups, but overall, I would say the strongest twos team was SLSL, Warlock, and Druid.
How much fun will you have?
I would say Lock. Yeah, Silva knows. Yeah, it's a free 2K if you're with Warrior Druid. Also, don't forget Warrior Druid.
Chat 1 to 10, and you guys too. Insane. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much fun will you have in TBC if you just had to, guess if you're gonna play Druid in TBC?
Oh, dude, 10, bro. 100%
If you want to raid, it'll still be fine. It'll be fun. And if you want to PvP, you're gonna feel like a god.
Well, here's the thing about raiding. From the raiding perspective, if you're tanking, you are the off tank, or there's a lot of fights where you have to be the one tanking, not the warrior, right? And then if you're thinking about Boomy, is you're not doing a lot of damage, but you're doing more than like melee is T4, T5. So you're like right in the middle, sometimes lower, but a lot of the pieces as a Boomy that you get, like they're usually the most geared people in the raids, because a lot of the off pieces they get, like with all the spell power, Warlocks and Mages and stuff don't need, because they need tier, and they don't use the tier obviously, so they'll just use those. Like our Boomy is one of the most geared persons in the fucking server.
One thing I love about TBC is you feel a lot better about taking, like, oh, I'm gonna take a Feral, I'm gonna take an Ellie Shaman, I'm gonna take a Shadow Priest. Like, they have raid wide utility that, as long as they're good, it's definitely worth having one. Whereas in vanilla, it's like you really had to argue and fight for your spot.
Yeah, you diehard, any diehard Boomies out there, and I know they're out there, you have a spot. And here's the thing is, it doesn't matter how hard you're pumping. That's not what you're there for. So any kind of pumpage you can do afterwards is really nice. And if you're a Druid who can go Spell Strike, Frozen Shadow Wave, which is cloth, but it doesn't matter because it's so much spell damage, you're actually pumping as a Boomy T4 previous. You're actually going to pump a little bit, and it's exciting. It's fun.
It's fun. And you said they gear up really fast because they don't. Everybody is using set pieces, like tier pieces, and you're saying Boomkin uses like just an assortment, like hodgepodge. So you gear up very fast. In Classic, you gear up very fast as a Druid. In TBC, that continues to be the case, which honestly, quality of life, that's huge. The fact that you get geared up.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a good helmet, like a good helmet drop set is fucking insane, but as a Warlock, I can't wear it because I don't want to break my T6 piece or whatever it is. The Boomies, or Boomy, Shadow Priest, Ellie, they get it because we don't need it, and they end up really geared from it.
Saint Saliva also made a good point. Don't forget Flight Form and Epic Flight Form. That's big for those.
Okay, in case you didn't know, Epic Flight Form is Flight Form, except for you has no cast time, and I think it depends on the patch, but you can
there's no Flight Form in the regular Flight Form either. There's no cast time on it. At least on the TBC private servers.
There's no cast time, and you can herb while you're in form at certain patches.
They're both instant. I think it's just the faster version.
Yeah, one's just faster. Yeah, exactly. But okay,
it's
we
crazy,
talked about
bro.
Druid. We have to go. Let's go to a class we don't know a lot about. Let's go to a class that we don't know a lot about. What about I guess let's just get Warrior out of the way. I don't think any of us are Warrior experts.
Warrior's Charge.
I'll say what I know.
Warrior's Charge. Moving on. All right, let's see. Let me start this timer.
I'll say what I know. Okay.
Okay. Let me start the timer so we can get through it. One second.
The number one big thing about Warriors that are different than Classic is the meta is not stacking 20 Warriors. You have your main tank, and then you have your Arms Warrior for Mortal Strike, and on our server, we don't even use the Arms Warrior. We didn't carry a DPS Warrior until like T6, I think, when they start getting good. Their DPS is I don't know why. I think they just don't scale as good as everybody else does with gear. Someone else can correct me. Joe probably knows, but the DPS is bottom. I'm not kidding. You're racing the Rogues, which is completely backwards. You're racing the Rogues for bottom slot. Shadow Priest, Boomies, Ellies, everything's beating you right now.
Yeah, but the general tidbit is that melee improve as you get deeper and deeper into TBC, moving into like Black Temple and Sunwell.
Oh, they're insane now. Like overnight, like it just happened. Like it went from like, oh, this dude's garbage to like, holy shit, he's like top 5. It's crazy.
So if you want a PVE raid and like do damage as a warrior, I feel like I see a lot of hype around arms. You go to YouTube and you type in arms warrior like DPS. There's some people that are big arms warrior shills. They love the look, the feel, the play style, the satisfying animations, and there is some utility to be appreciated with arms. Mainly this one right here, this Blood Frenzy right here, which is giving your rend and deep wounds also increase all physical damage cost to that target by 4%. So this is an arms warrior. You need to have one arms warrior in the raid, right, Greg? So you can. This is going to improve your hunter
that right
damage.
there, that exact thing right there.
Yeah. So you will have to have arms warrior. which is cool. And also,
but that Arms Warrior build will not be pumping. And Fury is usually the DPS go-to because you can get Glaives. Usually they're the runner-up for Glaives if you're not running a rogue. Is the Fury, and Fury's pumps. Unless Naughty, unless our warrior, his name is Naughty, unless he is Arms this whole time and not Fury, I'm pretty sure he's Fury in T6 and he's pumping. As for tank, if a warrior tanking is still pretty much the main tank, you know, more or less you're the main tank. There's certain, obviously it's situational, but a lot of times you're the one taking those big brunt of the hits. You know what I mean? We
do have some stuff we can talk about. Yeah, what Juvie said. So we talked with one of the best tanks on the entire TBC private servers right now.
In the world.
Very, very knowledgeable in the world. And I asked him this very question. Remember, right, Crex? I said, why is Warrior the premier choice for a tank? Why is Warrior still the main tank? I don't understand. All these other classes seem to be in a much better spot. And I told this, I said this on the last podcast as well. I'll say it again. His response to me was that warriors are the only tanks with like a shield wall type damage mitigation type cooldown. So that is going to be very important for certain fights. Also, it's not their threat, it's not their mitigation necessarily, it's their cooldowns. So there's that. They are like the premier tank.
Don't forget in TBC there's an enrage timer, and I mean this isn't going to be as big a deal if you already have shit on farm.
Oh God, yeah.
But when you're trying to progress and having the enrage timer hit, something like shield wall might give you a few extra seconds.
Yeah, but here's the thing about enrage timers. On Endless is one of the private servers that has the it's like 3 or 4 times the HP value and damage of retail, and even on them, that's not that huge of a deal. There's only been a couple times when we've been like Lady Vash on the new server was a couple weeks of Prague, and it was enrage tight. But I doubt Classic is going to be like that. Assuming Classic is doing what Classic is doing, I doubt it.
So on the PvP front, Warriors are fantastic. They still struggle out in the open world, 1v1, but they do have big tools that are game changers. Right now, throughout all of Classic, all the Warriors that have played in future iterations are dying for Spell Reflect, right? So you have Spell Reflect in PvP, which is amazing tool as a Warrior. You have stuff like Second Wind. Also, there's this one talent that's usually in the protection tree that gives you 15% stun resistance. That's moved into the Arms tree. So Arms Warrior are considered by many to be like an S tier class in the arena, and you'll see them in top comps. They have Mortal Strike. They stay on you like white on rice.
I think they're more annoying than Rogues, man.
Orc Warrior.
You can't really get rid of as most.
They're annoying, bro. They're on your ass, and you can't get away because of hamstring. They're on your ass. And a geared warrior and a geared skilled warrior are the most. They're fun to watch. They're, I would assume, fun to play, and they shred, man. Well, I play threes with the Warlock. I mean, as the Warlock Warrior Druid, and it's like, the shit. It's literally the shit starts, and you just let the warrior go ham while you toss dots up, and then the game's over. It's insane.
As a druid, so you guys have to understand, Swifty is a multi-glad druid player, in the arena, and I mean that is really quite an impressive title, especially doing it back in the day. From your perspective as a druid healing in the arenas, are you scared? Are you terrified of warriors?
No.
Druid, what are you terrified of as a druid? Even what are you terrified of as a druid? A warlock, maybe?
Dots, yeah. Warlock, Shadow Priest are basically your biggest weakness.
Because druids like they can get away from warlocks. But we have Curse of Exhaustion, but unless the warlock doesn't notice that they're dispelling it, you have to keep like when I'm chasing a druid, I'm spamming Curse of Exhaustion because they're just getting rid of it every single time, and you got to hope that you can. I mean, if they're 15 yards ahead of you, you're most likely, 20 yards ahead of you, I'm not going to catch them because they'll just keep dispelling it and run away unless they're almost dead.
I wouldn't bother personally with Curse of Exhaustion.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think you just want to put damage on.
Oh no, in the arena I don't. I was talking about BGs.
Oh yeah. I'm just
in arena. I have tongues or something.
Yeah.
But another thing about warriors that changes. Oh, go ahead.
A rogue that catches you at the wrong. Basically, if a rogue can opportune the right moments, a really good rogue can be good against a druid. You need to know when to blind them at the right moments, when to lock them down while they're in a form they don't want to be in, right? So good timing against a druid from a rogue is huge. And other than that, I would say dots. Obviously, they can't get rid of dots.
Didn't you win a classic duel tournament as a druid?
No, I never won.
You were second place. Oh, you lost the Cargos, didn't you?
Yeah, I could never beat Cargo. I built in vanilla, I mean, warlocks are fucking a nightmare in general.
They are. We had some fun ass tools.
And I built this.
Surprise, we're still nightmares.
I built this super high heavy shadow resist set, and I called it my anti-cargo set. And I would joke about it.
That was mad funny, bro.
But by the time I got it ready to go, he was playing a Paladin.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Well, I'll say side note. I remember that set he was talking about, and he smacked me around with that set. So I do remember the set. He built it really. He was just shredding everybody. It was amazing to watch a druid because I didn't know druids were that good.
So I made
gold, man. Real quick before the warrior stuff ends, dual wield fury is not a thing in TBC.
Oh, good call. Good call. Yeah.
Why is that? You will be shield. You're shielding.
Remember what Juvie said, though, right?
Now, there is... Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, Juvie was saying, so I asked him, I was like, is dual wielding going to be the meta when it comes to tanking? He was just saying, you're just going to get the shit crushed out of you if you have no shield on. Like, you need, even with the classic, values being a bit lower than the private servers, that, a lot of these tanks, it's not just him. I think we talked with TSW and some of these other people on too. They feel somewhat strongly about no dual wield, like Fury Defiance tanking type specs. You're going to have the sword and board, which is refreshing, I think.
Yeah. Which, and at the same time, none of us will know if that changes. If how easy it is, but I doubt it will, because he says it's not viable. Crushing blows on a warrior who aren't capped will one tap them. You know what I mean? Versus a bear who's always capped. So it's sticky. But at the same time, while you're dual wielding in classic is because of threat, right? You still have threat builds. You can either spec for survivability, which is like stam, armor, all that shit, and then you have the threat builds. The expertise in the hit, which makes you put out much threat. And I think that while yes, you're gonna have a shield, I don't think people are gonna be taking the safe side with avoidance, mitigation, and stam and armor, all that. I think it's gonna be threat heavy sets, but you're still going to have a shield.
So we got some. Type something, guys, please, in the chat. If there's something that we're not saying, please help us out here and put your feedback in the chat. Atticus, who's
we don't know everything.
Rank 14 warrior, Atticus in the chat. He said intervene is also in TBC. I remember that ability.
Intervene, yep.
It's the yellow icon.
You charge to a friendly player.
Doesn't it replace intercept though? I think it does replace intercept.
You have to use it in defensive stance, whereas intercept you have to be in arms or fury.
But you basically absorb or like redirect a spell or a attack right to the warrior, something like that.
Not only that, but you charge to that friendly player. So think about Arena 3s. Say the warrior was fucking feared way out into nowhere for some reason, and I'm way next to the target, he can intercept me and then run to the guy because he's already there. So just use like a second charge.
Okay, so it doesn't replace anything. It's only in D-stance. That's amazing. So you have 3 gap closers as warrior now. You have charge, intercept, and intervene.
I think they share
with spell reflect, which is really nice. But you need a shield on for spell reflect. But I'm pretty sure you can just have a macro that does all that shit.
For sure, yeah. You'll probably lose a global like on classic. What's that?
Sorry, there is a macro to like swap to protective stance, put on your shield so you can get ready to do
okay.
But it was very telegraphed. I mean, I played a mage to Glad as well, and it was very obvious when the warrior would try to spell reflect. That being said, he could also, it was a mind game, right? Because he could switch knowing that you'd think he's going to spell reflect and then not, so you're waiting and then he doesn't use it. So, there was still a skill cap like anything, but it was usually pretty obvious.
Yeah. Man, it's just good stuff. I'm having a lot of fun. Like, I like this, like, kind of this high speed, because you move quick, your mind's like kind of sharper. I hope you guys are enjoying it as well. Thanks for all the feedback. Let's move on to the next class. Again, guys, this is not super definitive. These are light touches. We're gonna get back in here and do deep dives on these classes as we go along. All right, next up we have the Paladin. Okay. So,
real quick, Silva. I'm not sure what shot I can throw is, so I'm not sure, my friend. Go ahead.
Okay. So get ready for Paladin. Let me get this timer ready.
Where's Juvie when you need him? Huh?
Reset.
Okay, well, I guess. Do you want to guys go first, and I'll just fill in afterwards? Like we've been doing.
I can talk a good bit about Pally, just because I was doing the racials guys recently. So Paladins and TBC, I think they go up a leg or two. Go up a notch or two, so to speak. Prot Paladins, I love the flavor of Prot Paladins. They now have Taunt. They got the famous Holy Frisbee. They, in the words of Juvie, are pretty much S-tier gold makers. In TBC, one of the most compelling things he told me about Paladin is that as a Prot Pally, more so than any other class and spec, you're able to carry a guild on your own back, and it's mainly because of your bankroll. You're able to be so efficient at cleaving through these dungeons, be so efficient about farming gold that you can carry a guild on your back, which is a really cool thing to think about. Also, Ret Paladins, I think, take a step or two up on the DPS meters. A lot of people are going to be playing Blood Elf Paladins because they love Seal of Blood, and Seal of Blood does do a ton of damage. The TLDR, because we're doing light touch here, is that Seal of Blood is better damaging Seal overall, and Seal of Vengeance, the Alliance equivalent, is a better tanking seal. But he also told me, Juvie said that later on in TBC, there's like a Librum or something that improves your Seal of Righteousness, and that will again later, deep into TBC, make your Seal of Righteousness better than Seal of Vengeance. But the cool thing about Seal of Vengeance is it applies like a holy dot that you can tab target to a bunch of different things. In the arena, they're I would say not an S-tier class as far as a healer in arena. There's not a huge array of compositions that they work in, but they're still probably fine. I mean,
they were in the beginning of TBC. Paladin Warrior was like the go-to twos comp, and then I don't know if it was a big change happened or people just it clicked and everyone's like, wait, Druid's better, and then it switched.
I see. I'll let you guys go first. I'll let you guys go before I go on my rant about Paladins.
Okay, you're ranting about Paladins. So What else are we gonna say?
They can still bubble and run.
I will say on the PvP side that I don't see a lot of. Meanwhile, I'm not doing 12 hours a day of arena or nothing like that, but I don't see a lot of Pallies. And when I do see them, they kind of get smacked out a lot. You see more Holy Paladins than you do Ret. You see some Ret Shaman comps, but Paladins are kind of easy to, Curse of Exhaustion, they can't run anywhere, and you just wait for that bubble to come out, and they can't get out of the bubble. They can't get out of anything. So someone bigger brain than me on PvP could know, but you really don't see a lot of them in arena, especially Ret. You see a lot of Holy in arena.
In 5s, you see them more, but in 2s and 3s, no, they were outshined definitely by Druids.
Aren't they the best healer for 5s? I think actually I heard. I'm not sure.
Shamans are good too.
One of the best ones for.
I didn't play 5, so I can't give my perspective.
I didn't either. Yeah.
But I was aware. I know Shamans were used a lot more in 5s than in 2s or 3s. I'm sure Paladins were the same.
So you still have the seal utility of Imp Lay on Hands, Imp Seal of the Crusader. This is one of the reasons why you'd bring a Ret Paladin. So in addition to the normal effect, your Judgment of the Crusader spell will also increase the critical strike chance of all attacks made against that target by an additional 3%. So you're improving the crit by 3% for everybody attacking the target, which is a nice piece of utility on the Retribution side of things as well. You also have Imp Sanctity Aura, which if you're Ret will give, and I think it's 2% extra damage to your party or something like that. I have to look it up to confirm, but there is some pieces of utility here in TBC.
Joe in the game
there on Classic
is a massive brain pally too. He would know, but Crusader Strike also refreshes your judgments as well, and also prop pallies are you're able to tank. I know you can tank in Classic with some finesses, but this is like you're literally made to tank in TBC. You are very good at it. Single target's a little bit rough, but you're extremely good at trash. You're extremely good at dungeons. You're extremely good at anything that has an ad pickup.
Tank for
it's nice, man. The threat for them, I love the threat on them, man.
Yeah.
It's like I get invited. Say I want to do a farm or heroic. I get invited to the group, and I see anything but a pally, and you guys will know what I mean when you start doing it. You're gonna be like, I don't want to do this.
As a big comfort too, Crix, moving through all the different raid tiers, man. Do you see Ret Paladins pumping on the damage meters? Where do you see them with respect to other guys?
Pre-bis, I do. Karazhan, yes, because everybody's. Unless everybody is super minexing, I see them pumping, and now you really don't see him that much. But now that we're in T6, I've been seeing ours, which is his name is Blasty. He's been blasting, man. The thing is that it's just like all the melee. It's not that these melee are trash. It's the mechanics that are not melee friendly. A lot of these bosses melee can't. On Illidan, for instance, our Ret Pie if he was allowed to just sit there and pump, he would be beating almost everybody, dude. But he can't because there's half the fight that he has to sit 30 yards away and not be able to touch the boss, and that's all melee. You know what I mean?
They definitely get buffed, right? They definitely have more raid utility with that 3% crit. But no, I don't think that they're I don't think tryhards would run a Ret Paladin.
No, you're running one Ret. I don't even think I'm going to run Ret. But the prop pally is where Paladin grew up in TBC. They have righteous defense. They have spiritual attunement. They have these things that make them. Avenging Wrath, like you said.
Consecration is for everybody. Consecration is this is fun. Consecration is for all Paladin specs. It's no longer Holy Tree, which is it's just cool. You love to see it. I think you're gonna have a great time playing Paladin in TBC. I'm strongly considering it myself. What about you, though, Swifty? In the arena, are you scared of Paladins? Is there any particular circumstance you would be scared of either a Red or a Holy or what?
No, not as.
I get happy when I see them. To be honest.
Yeah, they're just simple. They're like what their game plan is the same, which is just they're tanky and really efficient healers that just spam the same shit the whole time. And you just have to wait for your moment to lock them out, or you CC them, wait for their fucking bubble.
Force that bubble out.
Wait for the diminishing returns, do it all over again, and then they're dead.
It's cake, man. It's cake. It's super cake. You
Yeah.
see them wings. Guess what? I'm CCing your wings, which is going to make you bubble, so you don't waste your wings. And I'm just running from you.
That's right.
You got to look at H Pals versus the other options, which is Resto Druid, Resto Shaman, right? I mean, Avian Priest. But look how much more Resto Shaman or a Resto Druid can do. Imagine trying to predict what a Resto Druid is going to do in a fight versus a Paladin.
So true, man. I think that's so aptly put, Swifty, that they're predictable, right? The kit, you have to hard cast everything. They have very clear and flashy oh shit buttons that everybody knows about.
They can't.
Now they could be good. I'm a Warlock, and it kind of is a hard counter for them. Curse of Tongues, you can't really do shit. You can't fear after your bubble's gone. But they're like the number one class.
I almost think a Ret Paladin would be scarier than a Holy Paladin. Just a full Zug Ret Paladin with just another high damage DPS right alongside of them.
That might be more unexplored for arena. Yeah.
Yeah, with the Blood Elf silence and all that. It's just you could see them maybe.
I think one of them.
The Wrath pre-patch is when Ret really got OP, but.
Yeah, I one of the most exciting things one of the things I'm excited about for Classic TBC is all the arena metas that might change. You're gonna see some diehard pallies in there. People watching this now, like, oh, bro, I'm gonna get Gladiator with it. I want to see it because it'd be fun to watch.
Oh, people.
One thing before we go to the next one, unless you missed it, Crusader Aura, something small.
Oh yeah, go on.
Small, but it's 20% mounted speed to your party, only mounted. It's something small, but
works
it's
on flying
nice.
mounts though, man. Works
well,
on
think
flying
about
mounts.
it, you guys. Well, think about PvP. You can and you do frequently mount in arena, and then obviously BGs as well. And they're fucking Holy Paladin gets on that, you can't catch them.
True. Very true. And like just if you're flying around the open world, you know, you're moving at 330% speed if you're on a glad mount. How sick is that? That's just disgusting.
Yeah. And I will say, in the past like 10 months of playing on TBC servers, I've been a Warlock pretty much the entire time. I played a Rogue for 2 weeks, and then I played a Prop Paladin for like a month, and that was
you loved it, right?
The most fun. Oh my god, it was so much. It was my first time tanking too, so that kind of would go why it was so fun. But it was so much fun. The just nothing can pull from you. It's so less stressful than like you're. I mean, if you're a warrior, you're gonna have to do it. Everybody has to do these rep grinds, but it's just the world is gonna be full of warlocks and hunters. Both of them do huge damage, single target and AOE. Okay, you're gonna pull.
All right.
And if you're a paladin, you can't do it.
Let's move on to the next one. Let's go to a class that we know pretty well now. We went through Warrior Paladin. We got through it. I'm proud of you guys. We did a great job. Thank you for all the feedback, guys. You want to hit Warlock, Crix? You ready to hit him with that Warlock?
Yeah. Real quick. You're going Paladin, right? Or are you going Druid? You're going Paladin, Swifty's Druid. You're thinking of Paladin, yeah?
I'm thinking of Paladin or Hunter, bro. I'm like 90% Hunter, but I'm thinking about maybe like 80% Hunter, 20% Pally. Yeah. All right.
Let me hit these Warlocks, baby.
You ready, bro? He's about to go off, chat. Are you ready, Crix? Okay, let me start.
First off, Swifty, from you have been pushing PvP harder than I have. Do you have anything to say Warlocks PvP wise?
They're fucking menace. Ban them. Ban the Fell Hunter. No, they're really good. They're really good, and they're a menace. There's a new spec that comes out, right? I'm sure you'll talk all about it. The SL Soul Link Siphon Life, and that's a terror. It's probably not even the only viable spec. Warlocks are really strong.
Imagine being able to start a timer. Okay, I started it. Here we go. I got it.
I'll let you go.
Okay.
I'll tell you
the thing
later.
I love Warlocks.
Yeah.
I fucking love everything about them, okay? They get a lot of changes that make them really good. If you notice, in Classic, they're not super pumping in PvE. X that out. You're pumping from day one. Even if you're... So you have... Destro is a spec. Your Shadow Bolt spamming is just... Like, if you play Warlock now, DS Ruin is what you're doing. Pretty much just better shit. And you scale better, and you have more crit, and these new talents and stuff. Even as the Affliction Lock, you're kind of pumping a little bit, okay? They're insane in PvE. They're just nutty. If you spec right, if you even just talking about like T4 previous, if you spec right, which is not hard to do, right? Get all your tailoring stuff, you're dumpstering people, right? Right next to hunters. Don't forget, I'm not forgetting about hunters, but raid wise, Warlocks are insane. Utility wise, I mean, yeah, they have their curse, they have malediction, and then they have fucking what the fuck is it called? Help, Shadow Embrace.
I got it for you.
And
I'll pull it up.
that is why you have that Affliction Lock, right? To put the debuffs on them. And outside of those, they're insane, bro. It's insane. They're so good.
Yeah.
You only bring that one Affliction Lock because they had Malediction, which increases the... Oh, another thing is Curse of Shadows no longer exists. It is now baked into Curse of Elements. So that's one less Warlock having to do one less Curse, which means they can Curse of Doom. Curse of Doom is the meta now instead of...
Also, 40 debuff slots, right? So you can actually more freely...
Yes, and I meant to say that earlier when you're talking about Resto Druid, is if you play a Warrior or any kind of... You have to worry about those debuff things. If you're thinking about... I remember being in Classic and my main tank, Warrior, bitching, do not put HOTS on me because it's knocking off my fucking shit. That's gone. I meant to say that earlier, but you don't have to worry about that anymore too, and you can stack HOTS. But you have that one Affliction Lock, that's the only utility you have, and then the Destro Locks are there to be able to pump.
So how do you do relative, because people have heard about this by now, right? You guys have heard that Hunters and Warlocks pump in TBC, right? Come on now. How do you feel about you do against Hunters, like moving through the different raid tiers?
What do you mean, me? It's hard to tell because I feel like they,
better than Hunters?
Overall, like, if I had to go through, like, T4, T5, T6, I feel like they would beat us out regularly. In T5, I don't see a lot of them topping damage because they have so many mechanics they have to do that. You know, for Unlady Vash, they have to go do all the tainted cores. They have to do everything that we don't have to do. So there's more times than not, Warlocks can just sit there in their group and pump and chain less to them. So we're pumping. Why Hunters have to go run off and do everything in the fucking world.
In my guild, at least, I remember in Black Temple and Sunwell and shit, it was always Warlocks at the top. But it could have just been that we had better locks or not as good Hunters. I don't know. But
yeah. Pretty much, but against cleave fights, you probably just destroy them, right? I mean, it's probably not even close. But against single target, Hunters have the edge against Warlocks. I mean, just because you have seated.
Yes, it's massive. It's embarrassing how much damage they do right now. I think ZA launched this week, and the hunt is just almost doubling my DPS.
Most AOE damage in the game in TBC.
AOE, no, that's well. I mean, I would say Arcane Mage T5 can pump if they have their 4-set. They can get really good with the AOE, but I think it's Warlocks, yeah.
But you got to warn everybody that playing a Warlock in a raid is very difficult. Your rotation can be very complicated.
Yeah. It's a lot of Shadow Bolts, knowing when to live tap, knowing when to do everything. But PvE side, you guys are pumping, man. We get Ritual Souls, which is huge. Instead of having to pass out Hellstones to everybody, you put Ritual Summoning down, and 10 people can get Hellstones. 5-minute cooldown, It's nice. That's like, I don't know how many of you guys are passing out Hellstones to everybody. I never was, but
Can you still
have that if you are.
In trade though in TBC?
You what?
Can you still hand people Hellstones in trade?
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
Okay, because I'll still.
But it costs the same. It costs 1 soul shard, just like making that would cost one soul shard. So it's like you might as well. Someone else is going to need one as well.
So I think a lot of people in Classic, I played Warlock in Classic, right? They were worried about being threat capped. A lot of people are wondering how big of a deal is threat in TBC, right? You know, raise your hand in the chat if like I don't know how big of a deal it is. So you hear some people, some content creators saying threat, don't even worry about it, it's nothing. Some content creators saying other stuff. You know, as a Warlock, are you still threat capped in TBC? How big of a deal is that for you?
I think whoever said that threat is not an issue as a Warlock is hammered all the time. Threat is a big issue, not just for Warlocks, but
even though you have Salvation on both sides now.
Salvation is a must, right? But you also have Soul Shatter, which I forgot to put on here. Soul Shatter reduces your threat by everything within 40 yards by 50% or some shit. So it halves your threat on a 5-minute cooldown, right? So you can usually use it once or twice per encounter. That helps a lot, but even then you have to watch what you're doing because you can't Soul Shatter in the beginning of a fight because it halves your threat. So if I Soul Shatter, if I open with a Curse of Doom and then Shadow Bolt and that crits twice in a row, I'm going to pull threat unless I shatter. But now I'm shattering with 10k threat and only having it by 5k instead of shattering when I'm at 50k threat and having it by 25k, you know what I mean? Warlocks is all just, it's a threat game. It's a mini game inside the game and I love it.
So you're still just...
Threat is not an issue to the point where you shouldn't play Warlock. You just, you can manage your threat. It's all you. Even if the tank is under geared, it's you. You can handle your threat. Put some dots out before you Shadow Bolt right away to let your dude get some. There's many things that you can do to make sure that you're not pulling threat. But threat is a huge issue.
Makes sense. Let's move on to PvP. Not. How do you feel about TBC? Swifty, how do you feel about? Sorry, not TBC. I'm stupid, guys. PvP in the arena for Warlocks. Are you scared of Warlocks?
I think they're the number one.
Yeah, they're terrifying. The Felhunter is terrifying. Like, forget the Warlock. Like, I'll just lose to the... No, I'm just kidding. But they're amazing, man. They're really
number one PvP class, I think.
What?
That and Rogues. Oh, yeah, Druid, I guess. You're a healer. I don't care. But, you know what I mean? DPS-wise, I would say Warlock. It's insane. SLSL is the same... You're doing the same thing as Soul Link in Classic, except for instead of going SLSB for Shadowburn,
you can team up with
don't do. You usually go
Druid Warlock and be one of the strongest dudes.
Oh, that's what we're gonna do.
Hot spots, baby.
Yeah, Druid Lock is the king, right?
100% we will.
Here's the thing, right? You're fucking tanky as hell with SL. You've got lots of lifesteal. You are putting out pressure on multiple people, and like I said earlier, the line of sight is huge in Arena. So just like Druids are amazing at humping pillars and healing, Warlocks can put all their dots and then fucking kite around. You know, that's amazing.
Curse of Exhaustion, Curse of Tongues, everything is. We have all these little talents that Warlock has that afflict on the affliction side, like Shadow Embrace and all these things that help so much. It puts Shadow Embrace looks stupid, but it puts another debuff on the enemies so when the priest gets to dispel or whoever's dispelling, they might dispel the wrong thing. You know what I mean?
And Felhunters alone, like against like a mage, you just stick that puppy on, and even if you're not good enough at microing it, you just forget about it because it's gonna fucking annoy the shit and eat that.
Yeah, Feldom to get another one out. Watch when you do that though, because people can predict that shit and take it from you. But the Warlocks are just insane, man. They're nutty. Everything about them is just so much fun, and not even just. And just speaking of SLSL, you don't have to be SLSL. The Glass Cannon Disrespect that you were in Classic works even better in TBC. Okay. And then you have the Affliction spec with Unstable Affliction, which is a bigger dot than all your other dots. And if anybody dispels it, it blows up for more damage. And guess what? People who don't know what they're doing are doing all the time in BGs. They're fucking dispelling everything, not knowing that. Why the fuck am I taking so much damage of dispelling?
Yeah, there's some really flashy abilities.
He worked. I mean, there were Warlocks in like High Glad in every spec. SLSL was definitely the most popular. And probably the best in my opinion. But if you wanted to be like, I want to be the top Affliction lock in PvP, you 100% could. You could still like Glad.
Yeah, you could, but it's only certain specs. Like you don't really see Affliction locks running with anything except for like a Shadow Priest, Resto Shaman with the Lust, and everything is really nice.
Yeah,
but
your comps are more limited. Whereas
Affliction, I would say Affliction is better than SL in BGs for sure.
So just as a few things too, you're still going to use your succubus. You're still going to sack your succubus in PVE. You might be curious if you're thinking about playing a Warlock. Like, does anything change? No, you're still going to sack the succubus, and then in PvP, you're still going to use the Felhunter most of the time. It'd be very niche. I heard that in 5s, maybe you can use the Felguard and stuff. But as cool as the Felguard is, it's not really normally your go-to in PvP. I will say, Crix was telling me about some fun experimental builds where you can go like some kind of AOE cleave with the Felguard. So there may be some, some cool room for theory.
You can use Black Book out of what is that, BWL or whatever, and it makes your Felguard. There's actually a Felguard PVE and a PvP spec. It'll be underperforming, but it's still kind of fun. It's pretty nice.
And the other thing about SLSL, just to round it out, is that both of those talents exist in Classic right now. SL, Soul Link and Siphon Life. It's just you don't have enough points to get them. So instead of getting the deep talents, you opt for Soul Link and you opt for Siphon.
It was either 34-27 or 27-34. I forget which is which, but that was it.
All right. Good job,
it's
guys.
Pretty nutty. It's pretty crazy, man. It's a lot of damage that Warlocks can do.
Let's let the chat vote for the next one. Let's just see some love for which class you want to see so far next. Just we got to get the chat like talking more, guys. We have priest left. We have what else? We have shaman. We have rogue. We have mage. Let's see what we
hunter.
That'll be hunter as well. All right.
I see some shaman. I see a lot of shamans, man.
Let's see it. Pick one, Swifty. Whatever you think you see, whatever it looks like is being.
We got rogue on YouTube, shaman on Twitch.
I see a lot for crust for shaman. I don't know shit about it for you. I know little, but that looks like the biggest I'm seeing in the chat.
Where to buy a Melderon? Let's move on to shaman then, and let's restart this timer.
Yeah, right. Want to buy a Melderon?
Where to buy a Melderon?
Right.
Let's see if we can get this working. Restart this timer. And should be going. Okay, Shaman's in TBC. Let me get to the slide. Shaman. Okay, so Shaman, they get, let's go to what they get in Raid. You can already tell we're a little bit out of our comfort zone here, but there's some stuff to love. Okay, so enhancement Shamans. Okay, there's a Shaman in every party in the Raid. You told me this, right, Crix? And it's very true. You're going to have a Shaman in every party. Because
a Shaman of each spec is in the Raid as well.
Yes.
So you enhanced streamers and you LE dreamers, guess what? You have a solid spot. And arguably, the LE Shaman is my favorite raider. Like, because he's in my group, he's boosted me so much. I love LE Shamans.
Yep. So Elemental, lots of love. I mean, this is one thing that I think, people are starting to understand that Elemental Shamans pump in TBC. I'm starting to see more and more people getting excited about Elemental in TBC. You get this Totem of Wrath, which is going to increase chance to hit and critically strike with spells by 3% for all the party members. Mm-hmm. And if you're Draenei, you get the additional spell hit plus this, right? So what is that, 4% hit that you're getting just from the freaking Totem in the racial?
Not even that, but Wrath of Air Totem, which gives everybody 101 spell power.
That's nutty. Yeah, that's actually nutty, right? And then you have the most powerful spell in the game. Most powerful spell in the game, right? Bloodlust, aka heroism. Pick your poison.
No.
So you get here's
Lust is a game breaker. Lust is nice.
Here's the other thing about Shaman in TBC, guys. You know how in the retail version of the game, when you Bloodlust, you get the sated effect, right? It looks like a little eyeball, like debuff. In TBC, there's no sated effect, so you can chain Bloodlusts. So Bloodlust is so powerful in TBC, man. It's actually nutty.
So instead of that 10-minute wait time you got to be sated, it looks like a lot of times you'll have, like, our raid leader will chain lust the warlocks. Like, I'm talking 4 or 5 back-to-back lust, or the hunters, depending on the fight.
Mm-hmm. So all 3 Shaman specs, are any of these 3 a meme? Chat, you guys, you feel like Enhancement's a meme? Do you feel like Resto's a meme? Do you feel like Elemental's a meme? Or do you think it's respectable to play each one of these specs?
I think Enhancement's the most meme, but none of them are actually a meme.
That's a dangerous water you tread right there. I would say an Enhancement is more dangerous. Oh wait, are we talking about PvP?
We're talking about just in general, whatever comes to mind, man. Yeah.
Let me let you finish. Sorry for cutting you off. You finish first. Go ahead. I'm bad. I cut people off. Sorry.
No, you're totally good. I would just say of the 3, I think they're all good, but I think of the 3, like, Enhance is probably the least. LE probably is not big. I mean, Shamans weren't big in 2s or 3s. They existed. There were still guys, but
true.
Still do it.
And if they were, they're resto early.
Yeah, exactly. I saw some meme Enhance like Zug just like insta burst combos, but
Enhance Ret.
It wasn't like real, you know.
Yeah, there's Shamans do get dual wield. I think that's a big one we should point out, because some people love the look of dual wield. I love the look of dual wield. It freaking is awesome. I think Enhancement, to me, looks the coolest out of them, just me personally, because it's melee. You get to use 2. It's like a mixture of spell and melee. You also get stuff, because you know how Shaman is so sensitive to mana in Classic, right? Like, anybody who played Shaman, you know what I'm talking about. You use like 1 spell, you're freaking out of mana. They have stuff like the Shamanistic Rage, that I think it reduces your mana cost. It's like a really short cooldown.
Water
shield, right? So that's when it's like a lightning shield.
They also have
you get mana,
which can save shit. Is they have 2 elementals. It's like fire, and then they have the earth one. The fire one I don't see a lot of people using, but the earth LE they have, it like I don't know if it fucking taunts or something, but I think it taunts. It's to protect the person for 2 minutes. It's this big ass. You can't do anything to it. You can kill it or you can banish it or something, but they summon it and it pulls all the aggro. It does everything.
Those are so sick. The elementals, the fire elemental, the earth elemental. Oh my god, bro! You actually kind of got me excited for Shaman. Do they pump though? Crix, on the raid tiers, do you see an Enhancement or an LE Shaman up there on the board?
T4 previous T4. I see LE Shamans can pump a little bit. I haven't really seen an Enhancement Shaman, but I think it's because we didn't run an Enhancement Shaman in T4. Maybe I'm thinking. And then the end of T5, we picked up a really good Enhancement Shaman, and there's fights that he would be top 3 the whole time. And now that we're at the end of T6, that Enhanced Shaman is pumping. I think at a melee, Enhanced Shaman overall, Enhanced Shaman does more DPS than the other melee classes. Could be wrong. I could be wrong, but and it could also just be our raiders. But we're in like a top guild where Rayleigh's not gonna let a shitty person play, so I'm basing it off the damage meters, and I see our enhance above early game. And now that we're in T6, you start our rogue fucking pumps, and our melee starting to pump now.
I think it's totally worth having, and one enhance and one Ellie in your raid are both solid.
Good. Oh yeah, you have to. Oh yeah, standard. Some people run double enhance. Back in the day, the meta was double enhance, I believe. Now I think it's gonna be double Ellie. Because now you can make a Warlock's being so good, and this is probably later, but I think the meta is going to change with stacking stuff. I think Mage is going to be really good, especially in T5 with the shorter fights and then being able to get chained, innervates, and everything.
Looking at this,
Ellie Shaman up there, more crit.
Looking at this Unleashed Rage utility that Enhancement Shaman brings to the table too, your crits will increase melee attack power by 10%. That's pretty damn good, man. It's to the party though, right? Yeah, but still,
that's 10 seconds. So as long as they crit, unless there's an internal cooldown, as long as they crit once every 10 seconds, it's just up permanently.
Yeah.
That's why that's why there's an enhance inside the hunter group. So you have the enhance. You usually run one enhance, and he's with the hunters. That's just 3 or 4 hunters in there. Yeah, it's insane.
Gotcha. That's pretty sick, man. That's pretty sick. Okay, we have a 40 seconds.
Oh yeah, you're right. That's the melee one, but they have one for hunters. I don't know what it's called. I don't know.
Swiftly, at a gladiator level, do you see shamans? And if so, what specs are they?
Not as much in 2s and 3s, but yes, I mean, you still see them, but not as much as as druids or priests. Probably more than paladins. There's some that are surprisingly good. I remember back in the day, whenever you saw a really good shaman, it threw you off because you were used to most of them just not being that viable. But definitely viable. Resto, though, to answer your question, almost always Resto. They were surprisingly very tanky, and totems provide pretty unique utility that other healers don't have. So it was high skill cap, though. Really high skill cap. And Earth Shield made them really hard to kill.
Earth Shield. Any Earth Shield fans love that ability. That ability is so freaking cool, man.
I think Bid Bag just said what it was. Is that on whatever rage you're talking about with the melee, it does the pets, and BM pets do like 40% of their damage. So that's why you wanted the enhance in there.
Yep. And the thing is, you can use Bloodlust in Arena, right? How sick is that?
Yes, you can.
Big ass cooldown. You can use it.
And it can be dispelled, I believe.
It is dispelled. You got to keep in mind in 2s, the power is lowered because it's only hitting 2 people, and in 5s it's really good. But you also have to keep in mind people are going to dispel that shit. And typically in Arena, you start off by if you have dispels, you're spending your first few global cooldowns dispelling, unless you have to do something else. So shit like Bloodlust is unlikely to be that useful in Arena, except in 5s where there's so many fucking people and you just want to start somebody down. And by the time you dispel every buff that 5 players have given, you've already killed 1 or 2 people or whatever. And that's why I think used in 5s a lot.
I can step out. I'm gonna step out a little bit and say I think with Classic TBC in like the higher brackets, there's not gonna be that many shamans because I feel like there's gonna be a lot of warlocks. And warlocks are a hard counter to shamans because their totem stopping macros work so nice in TBC.
Oh,
like the whole fight, a shaman's out there. The whole fight, all my pet is doing, I don't have to press anything. All my pet is doing is just running around looking for totems. And when there is no totems, he's on the fucking shaman or wherever I want him to go. You know
That's
what I mean?
Big. That's really good to know.
I think if there's gonna be a shit. I know there's gonna be a shit ton of warlocks. SL. People know how smart SL is or how good it was in Classic. They're gonna move into fucking a better version of SL in TBC. I think there's gonna be a lot of warlocks. I'm not saying they're all gonna know what they're doing or not, but the few will make it out of there. And as long as they're smart enough to have a totem stomping, which I will make sure of, I think Shaman's gonna have a rough.
I'd say by season 4 of TBC Arena, Lock was definitely the class you ran into the most in Arena. So that's something you gotta just deal with.
I think you're gonna see a lot of rogues and a lot of warlocks.
Once we get to rogues, though, I'll tell you super secret fuck you warlock thing.
Okay. What was the second most popular after Shaman that you saw?
Super secret fuck you thing.
What'd you say, Cargos?
What was the second most what did the chatty want from the next class after Shaman?
Rogue.
Was it Rogue?
It was Rogue. Almost all YouTube said Rogue.
Mages and rogues.
Okay, let's go Rogue. Let's go Rogue, boys. Rogue. Big hype for rogues in TBC. Right off the bat, I'll kick us. Oh, let me get the timer started. Okay, someone else kick us off. I'll start the timer.
Well, I hate rogues. They're really good. They're insanely good. I played one for a while for PvP, for like a month or whatever. I don't know about leveling because I boosted it. I don't know about dungeons. Got to do it strictly PvP wise. It is so much fun. You can literally lock someone down depending on your gear and kill them before they're out of it, and it's insane. You're just locking them down the whole time, and it's absolutely nutty. Exactly what you see in Classic, except for they have Shadow Step, which Is it 20 or 30 yards? Either way, it just fucking ports you to the fucking dude. It's the most annoying thing ever. Especially when you think you're getting away, and then they port to you. And you have Cloak of Shadows as well, which is just on a 60-second cooldown or some shit, and it just clears everything off you. Gets all the shit off you.
Cloak, I think they're the strongest 1v1 class in all of TBC.
Oh, by far.
I mean, if they have full cooldowns, if you and they have prep and everything like that, they just have an answer for pretty much every damn thing. Especially with
and if
Cloak
they're
of Shadows.
losing, guess what? Bye. I'm gonna go away and vanish until I can reset the fight. It's like
they just whittle you down. What do you think about rogues in TBC though, Swifty?
They're awesome. I mean, they're already an amazing PvP class in vanilla, and they stay and get even more amazing in TBC. The new tools they get are huge for them. I mean, Cloak of Shadows is incredible. You can cast it. You wipe off all the dots. You can re-stealth with it. You can.
It makes you, and by the way, it doesn't just drop it off you. It makes you 90% immune to everything.
Yeah, you basically it's 90s.
Or not. You resist almost everything.
You resist 90, like you have 90% plus resist to spells, so you almost always resist every spell. Yeah. Sometimes you get unlucky still. As a rogue, I'm sure the rogue players will have way more experiences where they're like, "Man, my cloak fucking, I still got hit." But if you're playing against the rogue, cloak is basically their immune, right?
Mm-hmm. And 10% chance you're gonna hit him, and I mean it happens sometimes. Spamming fear and just hoping it sticks, and it'll stick.
They also get
rare,
which lets them with the PvP gloves, which every fucking rogue is gonna wear because that's why they're playing a rogue. They get interrupt, a silence sort of interrupt on their deadly throw, so they get a ranged spell.
Ooh, that's nice.
It's really useful.
It's annoying, is what it is.
It's a little telegraphed because they're fucking taking out a throwing weapon, but they can use that to their advantage. They can trick people into thinking that they need to cancel their cast because I'm throwing something now and not actually use the throw. So just like in vanilla, top level PvP is big mind game sometimes.
If they didn't have enough tools already, they have that on top of it. So what would you say, guys?
They get teleporting, right? It's amazing.
What would you say,
crazy.
Chat?
It's nutty, man.
Chat, let me know what you think about this too. Have you heard about this, chat? People saying, don't play Rogue in TBC. Rogue is trash in TBC. Garbage in raids. They do dog shit damage. They're trash. Rogue is so bad in PvE. What would you say about that, Crix? Like, for people that are hating on rogues in TBC.
PvE?
Yeah.
Well, PvP, you're fine.
Yeah.
Don't forget about cheat death, and don't forget about Shiv. You're completely fine. And PvE, they just don't pump that hard, man. Previous they didn't pump that hard. We have one now in T6 pumping. He's like full T6. Yes, Warriors and Rogues are at the bottom.
Is there a reason to bring a rogue?
No. Kicks. Yeah. Kicks. Their interrupts are really nice. I remember there's one time we were progging like Magtheridon or something way early in a cycle, and we had no rogue, and we had trouble with all the kicks because there was so much shit you had to kick. And we were both like, everyone's like, I wish we had a rogues.
They are meta defining in PvP.
I hate to tell you, bud.
And every
exposed armor is really nice, Vegan said, but you're not going to bring a rogue for exposed armor. You can, but they do have exposed armor. That is right.
But what about later in the game? Like once you get to like BT and Sunwell, do you see them? Especially if you get able to get Warglaives and stuff like that. Do you think they would have a shot at being at like the top of the meters, or they just never really get up to there with the Warlocks and the Hunters? You think?
We have a rogue doggy. Shout out. He's really good. He's like full T6 geared. He's popping. We did not have a rogue for T5, and until the Black Temple didn't have one, so I don't know what they look like because we didn't have one in there. But it doesn't look good. It never has looked good. That's the one thing that they've always said it as until they get glaives, right? But I see ours pumping without glaives. He's pumping right now. You know what I mean? So imagine him with glaives. I couldn't even imagine it. I've also seen people.
How is he relative to stuff? I mean,
you're
you're saying pumping. Is he up there? Like how up?
He's
there
top. He's top 3. Well, no, right now I'd probably say like 4th or 5th, which is good. He's after the Hunters and Warlocks because they're topping everything. That's the fights that I've been in with him. Yeah.
Speaking of glaives and the power of Warlocks in Arena, rogues are one of the better ones against them. They also had the ability to actually kill a Fell Hunter in a quick enough time that it was worth doing.
Ooh, this is juicy.
Sometimes rogues, especially if the Warlock wasn't as good at microing the Fell Hunters, like if they just kind of stuck the Fell Hunter for a while, rogues could like take the Fell Hunter behind a pillar, like, hey, come here with me, little doggy, and fuck it up real quick. Especially if they had Warglaives, because the Warglaives, I can't find the exact number right now online, but they gave that a few hundred attack power against demons. So they actually had, they were already top weapons, and then they got even more damage against the Fell Hunter. So rogues could quickly kill a Fell Hunter. An undead
rogues are the only thing Warlocks struggle with. And to be honest, if you can FAP, which you can't in Arena, but in BGs, if you can FAP, you can usually beat a rogue, right? But in Arena, you're kind of it's just so hard. It just depends on the situation. If you're fighting one and he's in your face, I mean, and they're an undead rogue because remember, you can in arena you don't just fight horde against alliance, it's everybody, right? So I can horde against horde. You fight a lot of undead rogues. There's gonna be a lot of them.
So that whole like because I'm horde, I never have to deal with X is gone.
Yeah. So you fight an undead rogue, and it's like the difference from fighting an undead rogue to a human rogue is very different.
Very different.
But an undead rogue, I'm never gonna get a fear off.
Here's the thing too, what you just said, Swifty, I don't think anybody knows about this in the chat. When you told this to me, bro, it blew my mind. John, thank you very much for the raid, bro. Welcome, everybody. He said that when you get the Warglaives, they can slap the Fell Hunter on because they get massive bonus of attack power. So if the Rogue has both Warglaives, they get 200 additional attack power while fighting demons. Think about how big brain this is. So they just go up to the Fell Hunter and basically like global it or do massive damage to it and remove it from the fight, which would be huge because that's attached to the Warlock, right? They have Soul Link with the pet. So you get rid of that, then you're taking a big chunk out of the Warlock.
To be honest, usually if there's a warrior and a rogue in or like a pally inside that reversing, they're going after the Fell Hunter right away usually because it's that Fell Hunters are that if they're running with the healer, they're that crucial. You know what I mean? They're that insane. Fell Hunters are the bane of everybody's existence.
Oh yeah. What user said we forgot to mention. So PvP trinkets change. In vanilla, every class has their own version that only cleanses certain CC. In TBC, every PvP trinket does the same thing, which is it gets rid of almost every CC. There's a few exceptions. And the diminishing returns of CC in PvP, it changes. So basically every CC in Arena, it starts at 10 seconds if I recall, and then it goes to 5 the second time you use it within a window, and then the third is 2.5. After 3, they're immune to that same type of CC effect. And there's a cooldown, there's like a time period in which that diminishing return
18 seconds.
Okay.
It is the big
so 18 seconds, and some shit shares too, like charms and fears.
Yeah, and they rebalance that later. I think they put Cyclone and Blind on the same one later on in TBC. As a way.
I forgot about the trinket doing that. That's a good point. Yeah, pretty crazy, man.
So silence is not. This is actually a little thing. Silence is not DRable. So you can chain silences to infinity and beyond. Like if you prep Garrote, and then you maybe use like a Blood Elf silence, then another Blood Elf silence, that motherfucker silenced the whole time. Like there's no DR.
Well, that's the thing. That's a lot of the things when you're running with a rogue too, especially because I know he's probably ran Rogue Druid and I've ran Rogue Lock a lot. Is the silences are huge. You have Navik runs one, right? You have it all the time. It's blanket silencing everything. And you could just chain silence everything and their stuns come back up.
Pretty much. Okay, we got through Rogue. Guys, we're making great progress. I'm so happy with this, man. I'm having so much fun right now. What class we got next, chat?
Improved exposed armor is really good too.
Let's go, chat. What do we have left? We have Priest. We have Mage. We have Priest, Mage. Is that it?
Well, we can do this in Mage or Priest, actually, because I was going to talk about RMP, but that works with the other two.
So. Oh, yeah, there you go.
Okay. I think we only have Priest and Mage. We're actually.
Do you think RMP is going to be the number 1 threes?
Yeah, probably. I mean, it was like, I don't think it was like objectively the best, but it was, if you wanted to play like a Mage, that was your best, and if you wanted to play like that was your best.
That's another thing about Mages is they don't have a lot of comps. I think Warrior Lock Druid is going to be the most popular one.
Warrior Lock Druid was huge too.
If all 3 of those are geared and everyone's doing what they're doing, they're like, it's crazy, man.
The
it's
only
so much fun.
of Warrior Lock Druid is the lack of dispel that warriors could get. Like Warrior Lock Druid versus RMP was a very interesting battle because it could totally go to either team depending on who was better. And
yeah, but if your Warlock has the right macro set up for each party member with the Fell Devourer, that gets a lot easier. But he has to be on top of it.
We're on to Priest, yo. Swifty, what's your thoughts on Priest, brother?
Swifty,
Priest, baby. Let's go. PvP. How good is a Priest?
Priest, disc. You want to go disc for the PvP. Shadow is good too. You could do either. But typically, what you saw. Mana burn, that's the biggest thing. So mana burn talent in vanilla only gives you like half a second faster, where in TBC it gets buffed. So mana burn is a huge part of Arena. Whenever you don't need to heal or dispel as a priest in Arena, you are looking for someone to mana burn. And that was basically the defining.
It's so nice. It's so nice. A good Lock Priest duo, they both mana drain, so that's a good twos comp, and it's so much fun. Just both of you guys draining mana.
Would you say that that's a lot of the times how these arena matchups come down to draining each other of resources? Like
that's a huge thing. So almost every single twos comp, especially this is has a healer and then something else. The only real exception at a top level was Mage Rogue. So resource management is the name of the game in TBC Arena, absolutely. So like that's why Druid Hunter was really strong because
Viper.
Too, because they would kite. They would both just fucking kite forever, and the hunter would just drain your mana, and eventually you would run out of mana and die. And they were just running in like little bitches in circles until you ran out of mana. But yeah, it's the same thing with priests, except they have to cast mana burn. But that's their goal. Once
fast too, though.
Is past burst, you dispel what you need to dispel. No one needs a healing. You just do quick 1.5 second cast mana burns. They also had Mass Dispel, which could get rid of Ice Block.
And Mass Dispel, juicy. Juicy.
Costs a lot of mana, but it costs a third of your mana.
Just looking at all these abilities right now, I think Priest is in a fantastic spot in TBC. Their Priest racials are so fun, guys. I just did this whole guide on it. I mean, Chastise 30-second cooldown, Star Shards no cooldown. A lot of these stuff have barely any cooldown at all. Symbol of Hope on the Drain Eyes. You got Mass Dispel. They give Fear Ward to everybody. Every Priest gets Fear Ward now. Look at the Shadow utility. You have Misery here. Shadow Word, Pain, Mind Flame, Vampiric Touch spells also cause the target to take an additional 5% spell damage. That's not a small amount of spell damage. It's like the Moonkin, level right there. You have Shadow Weaving. You have Imp.
Their mana issues aren't that bad either, raid-wise.
Gave everyone mana with Vampiric. Oh, you just said that. My bad.
Yeah, Shadow Fiend gives mana back.
Oh, Shadow Fiend.
Shadow Priest. I think Shadow Priests are in an amazing spot, man. I think they are in a very good spot.
Arena too. You see Shadow Priest Shadow play in Arena. Swifty, what do you think? What do you think about?
Yeah, they're pretty good in Arena too. I mean, they weren't nearly as common as some of the other things, but it was perfectly viable. And Lock Priest was really strong when it was strong, like Lock Shadow Priest. It was a little bit gimmicky because all of your damage is coming through dots, so that meant like they could be hard countered a lot easier.
And they share DRs.
But it was also just a menace where a few seconds of being in line of sight and you've got a whole bar of dots, and if you can't dispel, like, you might just die. You know, you can't run away at that point. So
it's fun running with one. Besides the Fear DR, it's really fun.
Shadow or Death, huge.
Dude.
Because for starters, this gave Shadow Priest way more bursts, and Healing Priest. It gave them the ability to burst better. It was an instant cast nuke that would do damage to the target, and it would do damage to you if it didn't kill the target. But
equal
that was
damage.
Really huge. Yeah, equal damage. The damage you did comes back to you. But this was a huge thing. So this had 2 ranks, and you could use the lower rank, which was only a couple hundred damage less, but you could use the lower rank to stop CCs on yourself. So against mages,
you didn't know that
window. Oh, this was huge. So you wait until the sheep
big dick
is about the end, and in that batching window, and you had a bigger window because the delay between the Shadow Word Death and the damage.
Magic explained it like this. Swift, you're gonna love this because you have a big brain for this type of stuff. He said that stuff like Seal of Blood and Shadow Word Death use a baby version of batching. I love that. It's a baby version of batching. So instead of the 400 millisecond window that you're accustomed to on Classic, it's more of like a 1 second type of window. So as long as you're within that 1 second little range of the cast completing, that's a big range. You're gonna be able to get that off with this baby version of batching and be able to remove CC from yourself. Sorry.
It was
I didn't know that. That's huge.
There was a bigger delay. So you have the normal batching, and then there was a delay between when you would do damage and the damage would come to you. I don't know if it was a full second, Cargos. It was definitely longer. I know you have to be a little bit careful if you do it too early, like if you're doing it on a mage who's sheeping you, because you could knock the sheep spell back and then you'd fuck it up. It did have a cooldown, but basically you want to do it when sheeps finish on you. If you're a real pro, you could like see a rogue that's ready to blind you and do it at the right moment. But basically any CC that's interrupted on damage, a well-timed Shadow or Death would break CCs from yourself, and that was a huge thing in Arena.
It's massive.
There's also Arena drinking, and this was a bit of kind of on the exploit line, but everybody did it and it was never changed, so call it what you will. But it also has to do with batching, right? If you are, so what was it, like 6 or 8 seconds before you fall out of combat? So you're on the edge of that. Like, let's say it's 8 seconds, just because I forget the exact number. You're on second 5.5. You start casting a healing spell, like a greater heal, that's 2.5 seconds. If the spell finishes and you would be out of combat by the time the spell finishes, you can like spam your drink button. So it allowed you to heal in Arena and then drink.
What?
Yeah, it was huge for Priests. Priests was used all the time because they had mana issues in Arena. Yeah. So they would fucking wait, they'd do their shit. They would teeter on the edge of the combat, get a few seconds if there was no pressure on them. And they'd cast like a greater heal, and right when it finishes, they'd go down to drink. And obviously you
batch the drink with the heal. Oh, you love to see.
But you get sips. You get sips here and there, and you do this all Arena long anytime there's not pressure on you, because oftentimes with a Priest you would go after the other guy. So whenever there wasn't pressure on anyone in Arena, but especially on Priests, you can look for opportunities to like heal, drink, or whatever it is.
It's so easy to shill for Priest in TBC. The more and more I'm looking at these slides, like nobody's gonna say Priest is in a bad spot in TBC, right? I mean, Def Camp, he says he's never had more fun, I think, like ever playing WoW than playing. I think it was Holy Priest. He was.
I didn't even talk in raids. Holy Priests and raids are arguably the best raid healers.
That's what I was waiting for right there, baby.
Circle of Healing is fucking godly. Later on in TBC, they added a cooldown to it of 6 seconds, which basically didn't matter at all because you were using it roughly about every 6 seconds anyway. Like maybe you were using it every 3 or 4 instead of 6. But like, okay, instead of spamming it, now you just do it every 6 seconds. Like, no big deal. It was still amazing. It was very easy for a good priest to top the raid healing if that matters to you. And they were just really good at spot healing. If you knew like damage was incoming, like there was a lot of like raid-wide or group-wide damage in raids, you could just pre-cast Prayer of Healing, you know, the casted version, and then chain circle, and it was just massive amounts of spot healing.
Let me lead off that, okay?
Go ahead, sorry.
Holy Priests are really good in raids, okay? They have a trinket. You get it from Classic. It's a Blue Dragon, it's called, right? It's a Darkwind card.
Oh, yeah.
You don't use it much in Classic because it doesn't proc that much. It's 2% chance to get 100% of your mana regen, right? But Circle of Healing procs it because Circle of Healing hits everybody in the party. So you have 5 times the chance to give that much. It's so broken for. It's the reason why Holy Priest.
That might
so
not
good
work that way in
side.
TBC Classic though. It's possible. We'd have to
No,
see
it's normal. It's just normal. It's not normal. It's just proccing off of every damage you do, like the trinket says. Just in Classic, Holy Priest don't have that AOE to be able to do that. You know what I mean?
But it might be the type of thing where you know how like clear casting doesn't proc on like your Arcane Explosion if it hits 10 targets or something. It doesn't have a chance to proc clear casting on each one. It's like the sum total. It may just be like per cast. We'll have to see.
That'd be really stupid if Blizz fix that. But also on the PvP side, Fear Ward is the most annoying thing in the world. That makes it eats a Warlock or anything. It literally eats an entire fear, and you can't fear them, which is crazy, right?
Yeah,
it's absolutely nutty. And then another reason why, you know how Swifty said that people aren't really targeting mages is because of prayer of mending. If they have prayer of mending, and as a Warlock, you can't even I can't even dot a mage. I can't have my Fell Hunter on it. I can't do anything. I mean a priest because it has prayer of mending, and if you do that, it just bounces a heal to all the party members in the arena. That's why priests are good in arena. It's just another reason why they're really good. So it's really annoying.
What about when raiding, Crix? How do Shadow Priests do relative to the pack?
I always see them in T4 doing good. Like previous to T4, they're doing pretty good. They're up there top 5, right? And I never see them really on the bottom compared to the melee. I've always seen them above melee, man.
Okay.
You know, they mana battery.
So they're really, really good. So they're always in the mage group because sometimes you run double Shadow Priest if you want. They're not that bad though, and they run because they give mana. They're mana battery.
Just look at all this
in that
ton
group.
of
So you
utility.
can run double mage, man. It's so much utility, and they do really good for how much utility they bring. They pump super hard. So Boomies and Priests, for how much utilities that you guys bring, are the damage is amazing. You can't complain about it, man.
Yeah.
And the thing about Shadow Priest, another thing is that's just like the Boomies. They pick up a lot of the gear they wear is the shit that the other people can't wear. So they're just like Boomies. They're sweeping up for free gear, right? Shit that they wouldn't normally get. And fuck, what was the other one? It was huge. Give me a second. Oh, they're the best. They're the easiest to get ready for raid T4 wise previous because they can wear all Shadow Wrath stuff if you wanted to, which is all BOEs, and people don't really know how expensive that stuff is, but it can be cheap as shit too. So not just your cloak and your braces, you can literally deck out in all of Shadow Wrath and make sure you fill in stamina spots with your tailoring or something, and they pump ultra hard. I don't see people doing this a lot on private servers because they only wear like one of Shadow Wrath. The difference is like 20 spell damage on each piece of gear if you did that, you know what I mean?
Damn.
And I think if I saw someone doing that mixing with tailoring, they would be fucking pumping, man.
We got Pain Suppression too. Another really fun one.
Yeah.
Really fun ability. Reduces a little threat too. I feel like it reduced more threat than this. This tooltip might be wrong, but Pain Sup, awesome. Oh shit button looks really cool too. But anyway, we're past the on Priest. We got 2 classes left, ladies and gentlemen. Can we get some hype for either? Do you want to see some Hunter or do you want to see some Mage? Hunter or Mage?
You're doing Hunter. You should do Hunter last because you're doing Hunter.
Okay.
That's your class.
Just trying to get the chat involved right now. Just let's see what they want. We're having so much fun, man.
I am too. Actually, I'm having a lot of fun.
Start this timer here.
Alright, see 3 mages, 2 hunters in the Twitch. 3 of each.
See my DMs on Discord. Oh, baby.
Okay, we got the 6 minutes. Okay, I see a lot of Hunter. Hunter at the top. All right, finish. All right, let's go Hunter. I can knock Hunter out real quick. Okay, Hunter. Where is it? Where's Hunter? Oh shit, didn't make a Hunter slide. Oh no, there's a Hunter slide. Okay, Hunters, I mean, big pumper damage. Like, you'll see a lot of people say that they do the most damage out of every single class and spec. One thing you have to keep in mind with TBC is it's not necessarily class identity. There's spec identity in TBC, which is really cool. Each spec can bring something a little bit unique. Survival Hunter brings some utility and some really unique flavor to the raid. You need a Survival Hunter in the raid as well. BM Hunters just do massive single target damage, man. And you love to see it because in classic WoW, people memed on Hunters pretty much the whole time, right? What did people tell you? If you told your friends, hey, I want to play Hunter, they'd be like, you know, Lamau, you're gonna be like at the bottom of the meters in raids, like, you know, sucks to suck. But hunters really take like multiple steps up. I mean, you can drop traps in combat. The pets scale with you. You love to see that. I mean, men pet is instant. There's so much to appreciate with hunters, man. The sets look badass. They're amazing in PVE. They're also solid in PvP. If I had to point out one like kind of softer, like maybe a little bit slightly weaker dimension, would be PvP. People don't get as hype talking about hunters in PvP in an arena context, just because you can make it work. My understanding is that at a high level arena play, I'm curious to get your thoughts on this, Swifty, is that if you see a hunter in an arena team, their win condition is attrition. Their win condition is to mana drain the other healer over time using you know, Viper Sting over the course of the match. Let me stop for a second though, Swifty. What do you think about that on PvP hunters?
You're right that the win condition is attrition, but I wouldn't say that stops them from being amazing. I think they're high skill cap. So if you're not a very good hunter, like, whereas other classes you could do like decently well and still win a lot, hunters, like, you're either very good or you should stay out of arena. They were really good locks. Yeah, I think the best hunters, it felt very different. I felt like I could not even get on them if I was playing, you know, something that was trying to... They're so good at kiting, and they're so annoying to deal with. They have so many tools for disengaging and getting away. And because you're playing a battle of attrition, there's that extra pressure where you're like, I have to kill this hunter. So, you know, you get tilted trying to get him. And yeah, I mean, that was their win con, is attrition, but they were good at it. So
yeah, and their pet is nutty. The pet is, as a caster, I'm telling you, the pet is the most annoying thing ever. The reason they're all right is because they can hit that Bestial Wrath, and if the opposite comp is not dead by the time Bestial Wrath's done, I feel like that comp's going to lose more than likely because hunters. But that pet is the most annoying thing ever. When it's glowing red and it's coming for you, you can't stop it.
Yep.
It's just on you.
Not only does the pet glow red, the hunter glows red as well in TBC. You have the beast within, so both you and your pet become unseeable monstrosities for a period of time, which is really exciting. They're very easy to gear as well. The quality of life all the way through tier 5 is just so nice using your Dungeon Blue set. I mean, I can't think of like, honestly, a downside to playing hunter in TBC. There's also a good amount of demand for hunters just because they do so much damn damage. It's not like the type of thing where there's a lack of demand and, you know, a ton of competition. I would also...
Do you think they could be Gladiator pushing, Bo? A bunch of hunters trying to get Glad those? I would know more. I don't know.
Druid Hunter is, with a good Druid, good Hunter, you can fuck up just about any comp in twos almost.
I've never... You've obviously done way more than me, but I've never really, in Arena, struggled against Hunter.
It was just that Druid Lock was... They overshadowed them because it's also a Druid comp, and they were probably better. But Druid Hunter was also a menace, and it just, you know, different teams had different strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah.
The other thing on Hunter, like a major thing on Hunter, is that there's no more dead zone. Poggers in the chat for no dead zone. I mean, there's no more dead zone. So you're either within melee, they're meleeable, or you can shoot them. So there's still a 5-yard minimum shoot range, but, you know, if they're within 5 yards, you can strike them. So there's no finessing that dead zone and getting kited around and getting played with, getting toyed with, which is really nice. Let me think of some other stuff. Survive marksman. Okay, also aim shot has a mortal strike effect on it, which is really nice. Gives you some nice utility. Misdirection is an amazing pulling tool. You're using it off cooldown. So good. You're still doing the pulls as a hunter. Also, arcane shot is a dispel. So hunters have a dispel. I repeat, hunters have a dispel. Big hype. Offensive dispel with the arcane shot. You'd love to see that. Right. Marksmanship, just absolutely destroying people in battlegrounds. That's kind of where it shines the most. Still good in 1v1s. Anything else come to mind with the hunters, boys?
Absolutely nutty damage. It's I would say the second easiest to gear. Previous wise, if you're looking at rating, it's the second easiest to gear behind the Shadow Priest, just because they can buy all those BOEs. They're just, pet management is king. You got to be able to really good at your pet, because your pet needs to stay alive. Your pet is 40% of your damage, like 40% of your damage in raid, so it needs to stay alive, man. There's some fights that you know, where it's rough to be a hunter because the pet will die. Mechanics, you got to watch that.
New pet breeds, guys, very exciting. You get, you know, Ravagers, you can get Warp Stalkers, all types of new pets you can tame, and they scale with all of your stats as the hunter as well. You have really cool fun new abilities. Aspect of the Viper, Steady Shot does massive damage. You have Snake Trap, which is really cool. You pretty much are able to put it down to trap guys and summon like 20 snakes that all attack, and they apply deadly poison, wound poison, crippling poison. They apply those like max rank poison to the target. Your little snake buddies.
And it's amazing because you have as me, I have to stop what I'm doing and get rid of them. Because, or otherwise it's just it's literally like 20 or 30 of them. It's pretty crazy, man. And the trap in combat is so fat. I think a lot of the reason why people weren't BM and they're marksmen a lot in classics is because they have the scatter shot, right? That's just a marksman thing. You don't need scatter shot to be able to do your scatter shot trap. You can just put that down whenever the fuck you want. You know?
Just throw that trap down whenever you damn please. You'll absolutely love to see it. All right, we're done with Hunter. Hopefully that was okay. Now let us go to the last class, which I believe is Mage, unless I'm tripping.
Yeah,
that is correct, sir.
We're gonna go to the last class.
Let's see here.
Start the timer. Restart it. Okay, get your thoughts ready. Don't start yet. I'll tell you when to start. Okay, 6 minutes on the clock. Let's go, chat. Let's go. Let's talk about mages. Crix, kick us off. Mage, what comes to mind?
PVE wise, they're good all around. I'd say the third DPS. I would say Hunter, Warlock, Mage in that order. They're really good. They're strong in T4. If you spec right, I mean, if you Fire Mage in T4 and you do all your spell fire and all your tailoring, I've seen them pump super hard. Top 2 damage, right? They're right there with the Warlocks and Hunters. T5 they go super nutty with their tier gear from T5. It's absolute nutty. They're top damage in T5 throughout it until like
top damage in tier 5. What about it? Let me look up the tier 5 set actually.
Ours were.
Yeah.
Ours were racing with the Warlock. I would say they're racing with the Warlocks, but I mean those if you especially in classic TBC where the fights are going to be shorter, I think Arcane Mages would be nice.
Increase
our
the damage.
Our mages when we're in
blast.
TK, our mages after they got their arcane bonuses, man, in T5 were fucking pumping.
Tell us about how they made better vending machines.
Oh yeah, they have a mage table. They have a table you put down, and you just click it, man. It summons a mage table, and everybody can click the shit out of it.
That's such
the Warlocks have brought so well too. I always said that, man.
That is such a quality of life improvement for everybody, right? Asking mages for water and food gets old real fast, right? The big table, man, that might be the best thing about TBC, honestly.
I say still do it. Still open trade and say water.
I mean, there's times you do because I think is it on a 5-minute cooldown like the Soul Wells, I think too. So you might have to.
But yeah, so
but I like mages. They're never in a bad. Even now in T6, our mage is still pumping.
Arcane
Echo Stage got out. He's pumping, man.
Any
he's
Arcane?
Still pumping. He's Arcane, and we have one moving to fire with T4. I think T6 4-piece. You go to fire supposedly, and he's kind of pumping. He's trying to get the rep. Well, he's almost there, but he's pumping too as a mage.
I think there's something so flavorful about the Arcane Mage too, and that's a piece missing from Classic. There's a lot of people that want the Arcane Mage to be good desperately, right? Some of you in the chat, it's good in TBC, at least for a time, and I didn't really know that. You know, you don't hear that every day. Mage is a top 3 DPS class in TBC. Oftentimes you hear about mages in TBC and people are like, they're kind of bad, you know, took them steps down, you know, but there's a lot to love. You get the Water Elemental, which is sick, and Frost. Frost has a lot of utility. You can rate as any three of the specs, right, Crix? Or you can rate as fire.
Usually I remember seeing Frost T4 into this last server. They were fire, Arcane at fire, and Frost was more like PvP, I think.
Okay.
I can tell you about the Frost PvP. I did a lot of that.
Surprise when Classic TBC comes out and you see mages pumping, and you're wondering why. Oh man, why are they pumping so hard? They can really pump, man. Don't sleep on them.
All right, tell me about.
I don't
the Frost
see a lot
PvP,
of them pumping, but you really do. I've seen them.
How scared of you are of a mage in Arena?
As a Warlock, you wouldn't.
Not that scared.
Yeah, that was the best, though. I mean,
more than some, but less than most.
With mages and PvP, they're really strong in Arena. They were just had less comps that were effective with them because they were so hard countered by the Warlock. You just stick that Fell Hunter on the mage, and it's a fucking nightmare.
Kick it, dispel the sheep off you. You can dispel the sheep off your players.
You can't root it, you can't slow it because it just resists everything. You don't want to waste your time and mana trying because it's just unrealistic that it'll stick. Sometimes you get lucky and your Frost Nova that's trying to hit them also hits the Fell Hunter, but often it doesn't. It's dispelling off your ice barriers. It's interrupts, knocking back your spells. It silences you out of ice.
It can take the Nova off of me if I wanted to.
It's just
I can spell stone Novas. It's just rough for mages.
But for 2s, the only real viable mage comp, you got Mage Rogue, and that was interesting because there's no healer. You have a ton of CC between the Mage and the Rogue, and you can switch your CC. You can go from one target to another. You can switch your burst. You can go between, okay, lockdown, 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 now fucking kill. They had, like, the Rogue stuns into Shatter combos were some huge levels of burst. It was a very high skill comp.
It's fun to watch those. If you see 2 good ones, it's really fun to watch.
You get some sick abilities too, right? Let's think about cool mage abilities you get. Invisibility, right? That's pretty sick. Be able to get that jump on in an arena, be able to open from that.
The only issue, you can't target people when you're invisible. You can't see people. But if you're like playing with, your buddy, you could use their screen as like, the vision, so you know roughly where to like end your invisibility. It's still worth starting out. Yeah, you've got what is it?
Arcane starts to show up because they get Arcane Blast in TBC, and that's like their Shadow Bolt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why Arcane starts to pop up.
Which is sick, and they just spam it, you know, like over and over again. It does more and more damage, but costs more and more mana.
Literally,
I think it's so
that's it.
flavorful, man. You just stack in like crazy and just spam Arcane Blast. It's
Yeah,
so
with
cool.
a Shadow Priest in the group, they're getting mana back all the time. If you get real big dick, you can innervate the mages, and they're just gonna keep pumping because they pump super fucking hard.
What about fire, man? Anything come to mind with fire mage? Does anything stick out?
We just finished one fast thing with Requiem. He's absolutely right. The Warlock Druid was the worst thing for a mage rogue, and that's why you didn't see a lot of it. But real quick, on a rogue mage priest.
Rec is actually a huge mage on the private servers, by the way.
Sorry, Triff, go.
Does Soul Link break a sheep? Soul Link? No, Soul Link was a damage reduction.
Yeah, Soul Link's damage reduction. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's saying if you damage the pet.
You would not damage the pet if you're trying to sheep the lock. But even that's not guaranteed. Between Trinket, between the Fell Hunter being able to eat off the sheep potentially, it was really difficult for a mage to deal with a Warlock. That was
It's pretty crazy.
In Classic too.
Priest was one of the strongest threes, if not the strongest threes comp. They all complemented each other very well. They gave the Rogue Mage combo the only thing it's really missing, which is healing and spelling. And it can also break bubbles, ice blocks, and giving that Rogue Mage the ability to burst people down. So you've got a ton of CC between Rogue Mage Priest.
I would say that's probably like one of the top, if not the top twos comp. It's really good. I think a lot of twos comp will be.
Wait, twos or threes?
The twos. Are you talking RMP right now?
RMP is the threes, and then just the Rogue Mage would be the twos. Yeah.
Double DPS. Yeah, I played a lot of fun playing Rogue Mage twos, and back in the day, I played it with my roommate. Like, you have all these stuff that are on different DRs. There's so much finesse and coordination. It's a ton of fun. What about fire, man? I mean, they also go ahead.
Dude, fire's actually not bad in PvP. It was just really overshadowed by the frost. I kind of want to, if I get a mage up, is try a deep fire mage. Dragon Breath was a very strong PvP ability.
That's the disorient, right? Like the
as was Blazing Speed, which was like that chance for them to just break any CC and fucking run at 100% extra speed, let them really just reposition an arena. But they didn't have the ice barriers that Frost needs. They didn't have the water elemental to freeze people that are on your ass. They didn't have the cold snap. Ice block and reset your barriers.
But before I forget, sorry, is ice block does give you the debuff in TBC, right? So when you ice block in TBC, you get the what is it called again? Somebody's gonna know in the chat. It gives you you can't ice block again. It's not just like where you can just ice block, cold snap, ice block again. You get a debuff for like 10 seconds.
Really. But no, I think it's longer than that even. But it's short enough that a Frost Mage can stay alive long enough to use it again.
Yeah, sorry, man. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just knew I was gonna forget if I didn't say it.
I see some double mage comps memeing around. That can be kind of crazy if you're not paying attention. I don't think you ever see like a gladiator double mage comp, but it's kind of cool.
Like 2K, but you do see.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Hero mage when you're starting your climb, and you might
like when if the doors open and I see double mage, I'm like, oh, okay, that's good, but at the same time, be careful. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's cheese for sure. It's like cheese. It can win, but like, is it good? No.
Fire and raid, you see it, and they're pumping. They're doing good. Vegan Fox in here, he just switched to fire a couple weeks ago for our T6 stuff, and he's pumping. He's doing all right. He's the Archimage is still pumping a little bit more though in T6, and then T4 they are fire with the spell fire and stuff, which I like as a warlock because of Scorch, which gives me the reason to put Immolate in my rotation. So
all right. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we have got through all of it, man. You love to see it. We had a great episode today. We got through a ton of information. I hope you guys really enjoyed that. Crix and Shrifty, thank you so much for being here for this, man. This honestly was so much fun.
This was a good one.
I really did you have any questions that you wrote down, Crix, as well from the chat? Let me check our Twitter, see if anybody tweeted at us. If anybody,
I've been trying to answer them as I go. I haven't really seen any. Now's a good time to ask if anybody wants to do them.
Nah, 0 tweets. Feels bad, man.
The good news is, guys, if you're like, is my class viable? TBC fixed a lot of the problems Vanilla had, where I feel like it's the real first complete version of World of Warcraft, obviously my opinion, but they made it so there's plenty of gear for every spec. Just about every spec is viable in a raid. If you want to play a certain class on a certain spec, you can get a spot. Every class is viable with some arena comp if you want to focus on PvP. There's just a lot. The dungeons are a lot more interesting, in my opinion. There's more mechanics going on. Raids are better. It just feels like a better game. So I'm excited for it.
You're excited? Are you sure we can't link out to your Twitch, Swifty? I think you have a Twitch, don't you?
I don't use it. So next time, if we do it again,
Next time, you're welcome back anytime, Swifty, man. I mean, it's pretty clear, right? Swifty is awesome, wealth of knowledge, man. Big friend, IRL.
I like the
in-game.
PvP side. I love it, man.
Yeah, really appreciated your insight, Swifty. No joke, man. Just taking the time out and helping us out here with this. So, can we get a round of applause for my guy Swifty here? Man, with BlizzCon guys, thank you very much, Swifty, man. Crix brother, can you put your channels into the YouTube, into the Twitch? If you want to follow him in Crix, he's actively streaming
YouTube
TBC.
is huge, man.
He knows he's one of the most well-connected TBC gamers right now. He's networking with all the brightest minds in the space, and he's just positioning himself for success come TBC. So if you're interested in TBC content, definitely check out my guy Crix right here.
Yeah, we're trying to learn everything. I will say I don't know everything. I don't claim to know everything. I bug my raid leader with 1 million questions a day, but I'm trying to learn everything, man, so we can do everything.
There it is. Yeah, toss him a follow, toss him a sub. He worked really hard on these slides throughout the day and stuff, and I've been kind of busy recently. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. That's the Dark Portal episode 2. We'll be back next week, Dark Portal episode 3, with more super hot fire TBC content.
With a surprise guest.
Another surprise guest.
Good one, a huge one.
Wonder who it could be. I wonder who it could be. So, we're going to host a new person, guys. This is a new person starting hardcore. He has like 85 viewers right now. He had over 100 earlier. His name is Zegers. He usually does like big brain rating and all this, but it's another person who's trying out the hardcore challenge, giving it a shot. So we love to support, people trying it out and, give that community vibe. So, shout out to Zegers. It's a new channel for a lot of you. I've never hosted him before or anything like that. We're going to go ahead and pass the rock off to him. Any final words, Crix and Swifty, guys?
Peace.
Play TBC.
Stay safe, guys, man. Stay safe, man. That's it.
Play TBC.
Avoid that shit. Stay safe.
All right, guys. Take care. Have a great rest of your night, and we'll see you tomorrow.